Yo. Need these. Um, don't need that. Whatever. Gonna be short stream because I work too much. Really. Trying to condense all my I went through and kind of organized the claims. You know what? Maybe. Well, over there. And hanging out, just trolling in Kane Strat without actually watching the panel. It's been going well. Uh, oh, we defined the butyrate studies. I don't know what I want to do. All right. And try to do a dry run of this and see how it flows, I guess. Um, Spent a few days last week organizing or extracting all of the claims that are made in the carnivore video. And I'm too lazy to make a new thumbnail, so we're just stuffing it under here, I guess. Um, but yeah, wanted to flesh out this outline a little bit. Um, yeah, whatever. Just gonna talk through it and see where it goes. Write down some shit. So something else. Why are we even talking about seed oils? Um, Seed oils are demonized by the low carb community. They're just the latest target. Yeah, fitness and health um, influencer grift. Uh, yeah, they're all about the demonizing the seed oils right now. I don't know why. Uh, it's probably because they're retreating from carbs are bad uh, to seed oils are bad. Like as more and more research comes out that disproves their claims about why it's uh, why their current thing isn't actually the fix all that they want it to be. They pivot a little bit to something else. Uh, a lot of the low carb community is starting to introduce carbs back into their diet, like honey uh, and some fruits, because obviously. But yeah, seed oils are easy to demonize because they represent the biggest source of increased caloric intake in the past few decades. Um, they're one of the largest providers or contributors to energy toxicity because they are very calorically dense. All oils are like this, or all fats are like this, even saturated fat. And um, so yeah, they're easy to overconsume. Is basically the idea. easy to overconsume. No, 3, whatever. Listen, we'll fix it later. The organization thing. So highest increase in caloric intake in past few decades. And we'll make this another one. Easy to overconsume. So yeah, part of this is, they're cheaper, they're easier to get, they don't require an animal to be murdered for it, or an animal to be killed, whatever, however you want to say it. But yeah, so they're easy to overconsume, which contributes to energy toxicity, which is basically like, you have more energy than your body knows what to do with. This could also be described as overeating or obesity, which is a major risk factor for poor health outcomes. Having more adipose tissue is pretty strongly correlated with, bad health outcomes. Adipose tissue secretes cytokines, which are an inflammatory trigger for the body. And so if you measure, if you take someone eating an average diet and you just dump seed oils on top of it, of course you're going to see a correlation with bad health outcomes. But is it the seed oils, or is it the calories? Most fast food places also, so when you look at, if you cherry pick some epidemiological studies, you see this correlation with seed oils and poor health outcomes, because places like McDonald's and Cheesecake Factory, like that's like all their fried foods are fried in oils, and you can't tell the difference between a spoonful of oil and 4 or 5 cups of oil when it's all thrown into a bunch of pasta. So yeah, if you select for people who are eating more seed oils, they're more likely to be eating foods fried in seed oil, which is what McDonald's does. So when we really look into it, is it the seed oils, or is it the fact that people are eating McDonald's and Cheesecake Factory 2.5 times a day? So the people who consume more seed oils than the average person are going to be in that category. So you're selecting for that. Yeah, and so seed oils are a proxy for unhealthy foods, and represent a huge uptick in calories. So it's not hard to find studies where increased seed oil consumption versus poor health outcomes is strongly correlated, because if you're overeating and eating a bunch of poor quality, hyper processed, ultra palatable food, then that's it's not good for you. It's not very satiating. Yeah, it can cause you to overeat, it can cause you to have increased adipose tissue, and yeah. So we can't really use epidemiology to determine uh, like whether or not seed oils are uniquely bad. Really, all of the data points to overeating being bad and eating poor quality food is bad. But those are both confounding variables. So yeah, they have the cherry picked epidemiological studies, and then they also have the mechanistic studies where they just like chain these together with these like animal models, and we added a crazy amount of omega-6 to a petri dish full of purified mouse brain cells, and subjected it to oxidation, and we saw evidence of cellular damage, which we're going to extrapolate into like there's some evidence of this, and this can lead to that, and therefore it definitely causes cancer or inflammation, because all inflammation just leads to cancer, apparently. But yeah, again, we're not, in reality, that's not how biochemical reactions in your body work. They, there's no like single pathway that is isolated from the rest of them. When we look at how the body reacts to certain things, we have to look at, a more holistic approach, because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of mechanisms at any given point in time working on, in and around your cells. So, there's a lot of mechanisms working in harmony to produce outcomes. So if we want to see if they're uniquely harmful, what we need are substitution studies. Studies where they control for caloric intake and then swap out, unsaturated fatty acids for saturated fat. Because if you don't control for calories, like so the study is meaningless. And yeah, like again, when you're just trying to switch together mechanistic study and cherry picked epidemiology, like that's not a great way to analyze that. So ideally, we would want human randomized controlled trials that use an isocaloric intervention, or basically, a substitution study, to compare seed oils to other oils. So what happens when we look for that? I found some studies because I read often, sometimes and stuff. Shit. We're not going to do the flow mediated dilation yet. This one. So similar serum lipoprotein cholesterol concentrations in healthy subjects on diets enriched with rapeseed oil and with sunflower oil. So this was a double-blind crossover study during 3-week periods to compare the effects of rapeseed oil and sunflower oil enriching a normal diet on the lipoprotein and fatty acid composition in healthy subjects. It was carried out in a randomized order, residential schools, blah, 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 blah. So this is with 101 people, average age 29.2 years. Dietary fats used for cooking and as table margarine were prepared from rapeseed oil during one period and from sunflower oil during the other. No changes were made in the total fat content. So again, this is that substitution study that you want, or other dietary nutrients. During both treatment periods, the serum cholesterol went down 4%, LDL cholesterol went down 5 to 7%, and apolipoprotein B went down 5%. Concentrations decreased significantly and to the same extent, while serum triglycerides, HDL cholesterol, apolipoprotein A1, and lipoprotein A remained virtually unchanged. So again, even by Teriak's own logic, if you want to lower your LDL to have a better ratio, like replacing saturated fat with unsaturated fat is the way to go about that, or is a perfectly valid way to go about that. The content of 18-2 N6 serum phospholipids was increased after the sunflower oil enriched diet, and the contents of oleic acid 18-1 N9 alpha linoleic acid 18-3 and eicosapentaenoic acid were increased after the rapeseed oil enriched diet. These numbers and ratios are giving whatever. It's the fancy science way of showing the level of desaturation. So you have saturated fats and unsaturated fats, but unsaturated fats kind of breaks down into mono unsaturated, which means it has 1 degree of separation, and poly unsaturated fatty acids, which are 2 or more exactly what it sounds like. And they also give the chain length, I believe this is. And I don't actually know what the second number is. What is the second number? Delta N. So let's see. I 18.4. So this is what? Omega 3, because first delta is there. Oh. Actually, I might be stupid. Maybe it's counted the other direction. Okay, so this delta number is the number of double bonds. But I believe the numbering starts from from the right side. Uh, no, okay. So your omega is where the double bond starts from the end of it. This is like the top or the head. This is the COOH is the why it's called like a fatty acid. This is called a carboxylic acid, and then this is the fatty part. It's just a long chain, a long hydrocarbon chain. So, no oxygens and stuff. But yeah, anyway. So these numbers represent how long the chain is and how many double bonds there are in it. Concentration of alpha tocopherol increased and gamma tocopherol decreased after the sunflower oil enriched diet, less so after the rapeseed oil enriched diet. And here's the important part. It is concluded that substitution of mono and polyunsaturated fats for saturated fats without any other dietary changes causes a significant improvement in the lipoprotein profile in healthy subjects. The rapeseed oil and sunflower oil fats were equally effective in this respect. The results also indicate that humans have a certain capacity to elongate and desaturate alpha linoleic acid to whatever that fatty acid in vivo. Dietary fats based on rapeseed oil seem to be attractive alternatives to the more commonly used oils and fats rich in linoleic acid. So, yeah. Where copy this guy? Got back. And we're gonna keep the PubMed link because PubMed is jank. Sometimes doesn't like it. You know what? We should just throw this over here and this over here, and let's get this over and get that over. There we go. ProStreamer. Okay, so that is one of the papers doing a substitution meme. This is another one. Looking at Gaines chat for some reason. So this is a systematic review and meta-analysis of prospective cohort studies. This is, again, we're not looking back. We're not doing self-reported data. This is a study that looked at a bunch of studies. Uh, so, background: previous studies on the intake of linoleic acid, the predominant omega 6 fatty acid in coronary heart disease risk, have generated inconsistent results. We performed a systematic review and meta analyses of prospective cohort studies to summarize the evidence regarding the relation of dietary LA intake and CHD risk. I'm going to talk about methods. We'll look. We identified 13 published and unpublished cohort studies with a total of 310,000 individuals and 12.4 thousand total CHD events, including 5,800 deaths. When the highest category was compared to the lowest category, dietary LA was associated with a 15% lower risk of CHD events and a 21% lower risk of CHD deaths. A 5% of energy increment in LA intake replacing energy from saturated fat intake was associated with a 9% lower risk of CHD events and a 13% lower risk of CHD deaths. This is, again, saying, when Teriak is talking about the good and healthy fats, this is a study where they changed nothing in the diet besides replacing those good, healthy fats with these very dangerous omega 6 fatty acids, which, gave you a 10% lower risk of having a heart attack and a 13% lower risk for dying of it. So, conclusions. In prospective observational studies, dietary LA intake is inversely associated with CHD risk in a dose-response manner. These data provide useful support for current recommendations to replace saturated fat with polyunsaturated fat for primary prevention of CHD. So whatever. Another new line, I guess. DOI link to this guy. Okay, so those are both studies done in normal healthy people. This is specifically another meta-analysis of cardiovascular risks in adults with type 2 diabetes. We're just going to skip this because it doesn't really matter. Results. We have identified 5 eligible prospective studies of 22,591 participants followed for, on average, 9.8 years, and 1 trial of 14 participants with type 2 diabetes. Limited data were available. However, replacement analyses of saturated fat with polyunsaturated fat or carbohydrate was associated with reduced cardiovascular disease occurrence. Higher unpolyunsaturated saturated fat intake was also associated with reduced cardiovascular disease occurrence. The quality of evidence was low to very low. Something to keep in mind. Saying the quality of data is low to very low. Keep reading. Although only limited data were available, replacement of saturated fats with other macronutrients, such as polyunsaturated fats, was associated with reduced cardiovascular disease occurrence. Supporting evidence from research in the general population increases confidence in these findings. Until more data are available to better comment on dietary fat intakes and cardiovascular disease risk of those with type 2 diabetes, it appears appropriate that saturated fats be replaced in the diet with other macronutrients, such as polyunsaturated fats. So, again, So yeah, to say that actually the polyunsaturated fats are the one causing the heart disease is absolutely bonkers. Fucking DOI link. Da-da-da. So cool. All right. Next. All right, and we're gonna add this to the list. Okay. So another one. Effects of increasing dietary polyunsaturated fatty acids within the guidelines of the AHA Step 1 diet on plasma lipid and lipoprotein levels in normal males. I'm pretty sure that this one points more towards a neutral effect, but we will just read. We attempt to ascertain the effects of polyunsaturated fatty acids by conducting 2 studies in normal young men, in which monounsaturated fats were replaced by polyunsaturated fats within the guidelines of the American Heart Association Step 1 diet. Study A employed a randomized parallel design in which subjects first consumed an average American diet containing 37% of calories. Oh god. 37% of calories is fat. 60% saturated fat, 14% monounsaturated. Saturated fat, 60% of calories, monounsaturated fat, 14%, polyunsaturated fat, 7% calories. After 3 weeks, 1/3 of the subjects continued with the AAD, average American diet. 1/3 switched to a Step 1 diet in which total fat calories were reduced to 30% by replacing saturated fat with carbohydrate. And 1/3 switched to polyunsaturated fat enriched diet with the same 30% fat calories and a reduction of monounsaturated fats from 14 to 18%, an increase of polyunsaturated fat from 7% to 13% of calories. The randomized period lasted 6 weeks. Total and low density lipoprotein cholesterol levels on the Step 1 and poly diets were reduced compared with levels on the average American diet. Jesus. Total and LDL cholesterol did not differ between the Step 1 and poly diets, although comparison between the 2 diets is limited by the small study groups. Serum apolipoprotein B levels fell on the poly diet compared with the average American diet. Total high-density lipoprotein, HDL2, and HDL3 cholesterol levels were not significantly affected by the diets. Postprandial lipid, the fuck's a postprandial lipid? And lipoprotein concentrations did not significantly differ either. In Study B, a randomized crossover design was used in which all subjects ate Step 1 and poly diets for 5 weeks, each with a 4-day break in between diets. In the 8 subjects studied, the values for fasting plasma total, LDL, and HDL cholesterol, triglycerides, ApoB, and ApoA1 were essentially identical at the end of each diet period. Postprandial triglyceride areas obtained after ingestion of a large standard fat load were also the same. Finally, LDL, ApoB, and HDL ApoA1 turnovers were unaffected by the replacement of monosaturates with polyunsaturates. In summary, our results indicate that modest exchanges of monounsaturated for polyunsaturated fats do not significantly affect the LDL or HDL levels or metabolism, which supports the view that reducing saturated fats is the key to lowering total and LDL cholesterol. So yeah, again, if you're complaining about your omega whatever the fucks and the ratio and oh my cholesterol has skyrocketed, but it's the ratio that matters. That's not. I mean, if you want a better ratio, again, more information pointing towards the idea that swapping out the good healthy fats, as he calls them, with polyunsaturated fatty acids is actually really good for you. In summary, okay. So this is all punk. CD risk. Inflammation. Well, that was most of the inflammation stuff, actually. No. Okay. So now we will go to this one that I had up earlier. So yeah, it is not actually it's not actually the seed oils that are causing a higher risk. They are not the bad or uh unhealthy ones. And inflammation. So this so this is a study that measured flow mediated dilation. We'll go over that in a second, but flow mediated dilation is impaired by a high saturated fat diet, but not by a high carbohydrate diet. What is flow mediated dilation? I'm going to pull up Wikipedia because it's a good meme. But basically, your flow mediated dilation is measuring your like the widening of your blood vessels and like how elastic they are. Or it measures how much it dilates when blood flow is increased in that artery. So, primary cause of flow mediated dilation is the release of nitric oxide by endothelial cells. To determine flow mediated dilation, the brachial artery dilation following a transient period of forearm ischemia, which is basically they're cutting off blood flow. They put a blood pressure cuff on you and then pump it up to cut it off. Oh god, what ischemia means, right? Jesus. Yeah. Okay. So they throw on a blood pressure cuff. They cut off blood flow to your arm. You know how they measure that, and then they ultrasound the brachial artery, which is you can take your pulse like right here. You can feel it. But yeah, they ultrasound that to see what size it like puffs up to, and measure that because the value of FMD can be compromised when improperly applied. Attempts have been made to standardize methodology. Blah blah blah. But yeah, so this is a non-invasive measure of blood vessel health, which is predictive of cardiovascular disease as traditional risk factors. Oh, gotcha. But yeah, this is a quick and easy way to measure your risk of cardiovascular disease. So low FMD is a stronger predictor of future cardiovascular disease events in patients with existing cardiovascular disease than in healthy normal persons. But yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Flow mediated dilation is a proxy to measure how at risk you are for these cardiovascular events. Whatever, now you know. So, abstract objective. It is unknown whether a low-fat diet, which may elevate triglycerides and lower high-density lipoprotein cholesterol, harms the endothelium. Our aim was to determine whether a low-fat, high-carbohydrate diet impaired endothelium vasodilation compared with high saturated fat, monounsaturated fat, or polyunsaturated fat diets. 40 healthy subjects were randomly crossed over to 4 3-week isocaloric diets high in PUFA, MUFA, or SUFA, or just SFA, and, containing at least 25 grams of relevant fat or a low-fat, carb, high glycemic load diet. flow-mediated dilation, fasting blood lipids, high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, plasma intercellular and vascular adhesion molecules, plasma E, and P-selectin were measured after each intervention. That's a lot of words. Saturated fatty acids impaired flow-mediated dilation compared with all other diets. So, pooling all other diets, it impaired it 5.41% plus or minus like 2.4%. Versus the saturated fatty acids raised it 10.8% plus or minus 3.6%. Flow-mediated dilation did not change on carb relative to MUFA or PUFA, despite 23% to 39% rises in triglyceride and 10% to 15% falls in HDL cholesterol. It falls in HDL cholesterol. P-selectin was highest after saturated fatty acids versus monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. So, conclusion: high saturated fatty acid caused deterioration in flow-mediated dilation compared with high PUFA, MUFA, or carb diets. Inflammatory responses may also be increased on this diet. Again, once you control for calories and you're doing stuff in actual humans and not purified mouse brains in a petri dish, we don't see this inflammatory effect on the body. I want in. Did I just open the same fucking thing? Okay, whatever. So where is that rat study? Oh shit. Right. PUFA oxidation. Gotta go to the place. PUFA oxidation. Where is this the one? Fuck. I'll have to find the goddamn study. Give it like 3 more tries. PUFA oxidation brain. Whatever. Fuck. We'll have to. Oh yeah, there we are. Oh yeah, the free radical one. Duh. Okay, so when he um assumed state radical mediated oxidative degradation. Is this the one? Yeah, this one. Okay, so whatever. So again, this is like one of those studies that that he's telling you to look for. Um, we'll see why that maybe not the best way Polyunsaturated fatty acyl chains concentrate in the brain and give rise to numerous oxidative chemical degradation products. It is widely assumed that these products are the result of free radical chain reactions. Reactions of this type have been demonstrated in various preparations where a single polyunsaturated fatty acid substrate species predominates. However, it is unclear whether such reactions can occur in the biologically complex milieu of lipid membranes where PUFA substrates are a minority species, and where diverse free radical scavengers and other quenching mechanisms are present. It is of particular interest to know whether they occur in the brain, where PUFAs are concentrated, and where PUFA oxidation products have been implicated in the pathogenesis of neurodegenerative disorders. Whatever. It already literally just said this, but PUFAs tend to collect in the brain. If you see all the fish oil stuff, it's all advertised as like brain health, because they do selectively go to the brain. You know, not the majority of them, but more than they go to other places. To ascertain whether free radical chain reactions can occur in a complex brain lipid mixture, mouse brain lipids were extracted, formulated into vesicles, and treated with a fixed number of hydroxyl radicals under conditions wherein the concentrations and types of PUFA containing phospholipids were varied. Specific phospholipid species in the mixture were assayed by tandem mass spectrometry to quantify the oxidative losses of endogenous PUFA containing phospholipids. Results reveal crosstalk between the oxidative degradation of omega-3 and omega-6 PUFAs that can only be explained by the occurrence of free radical chain reactions. These results demonstrate that PUFAs in a complex brain lipid mixture can participate in free radical chain reactions, wherein the extent of oxidative degradation is not limited by the number of reactive oxygen species available to initiate such reactions. These reactions may help explain otherwise puzzling in vivo interactions between omega-3 and omega-6 PUFAs in mouse brain. Again, they grew mice. They sucked their brains out. They only took the cell walls, and then put those in a mixture with the polyunsaturated fatty acid mixture. And so again, this is literally just lipids and just polyunsaturated fatty acids. And I mean, it does demonstrate that the chain reaction that they're talking about, when you have free radicals, like in the body, very often, oxygen based. We call them reactive oxygen species. But yeah, they normally are, what is doing the oxidative stress, hence the name reactive oxidative species. But yeah, again, this is happening in a petri dish with, yes, a mixture of, a rich profile of brain lipids, but it is not brain cells in a human, that's actually alive and doing stuff. So we're copy paste that. There, close enough to. So yeah, there is no proof that polyunsaturated fatty acids are, causing a lot of oxidative stress. I believe when we scale this out to humans, I mean, this is just CBD risk. We should probably look for score. PUFA oxidative stress review. Sure. this will be one to. I'm gonna have to dig for this a bit, and I don't feel like doing that on stream. I guess I want to tear through stuff. I don't have to read it out loud, because I am lazy. So, whatever. We're gonna move on to metabolic health. No, fine. I'll study later. And save that. Okay. So this is um, differential metabolic effects on saturated versus polyunsaturated fats in ketogenic diets. Be fucking DOI link. Sure. Human outcome studies for oxidative stress. I don't even know if we can mention that. I don't know if we can really measure that. It's not like we can just crack someone's brain open and measure that. But whatever. I will look into that. Anyway, differential metabolic effects of saturated versus polyunsaturated fats in ketogenic diets. So this is looking at the metabolic effects in still a low carb diet, but we're comparing 1-to-1. We've taken out the carbs equation, or the carbs out of the equation, and seeing the result. Ketogenic diets. Why? Ketogenic diets are used for treatment of refractory epilepsy and metabolic disorders. The classic saturated fatty acid enriched keto diet has a fat to carbohydrate plus protein ratio of 4-to-1, in which the predominant fats are saturated. We hypothesize that a polyunsaturated fat enriched keto diet would induce a similar degree of ketosis with less detrimental effects on carbohydrate and lipid metabolism. 20 healthy adults were randomized to 2 different weight-maintaining ketogenic diets for 5 days. Diets were 70% fat, 15% carbohydrate, and 15% protein. The fat contents were 60% or 60 or 15% saturated, 15 or 60% unsaturated, and 25% monounsaturated for sat and poly, respectively. Changes in serum beta hydroxybutyrate, insulin sensitivity, and lipid profiles were measured. Mean circulating beta hydroxybutyrate levels increased 8.4 milligrams per deciliter in the poly group, compared with 3.1 milligrams per deciliter in the saturated group. Shit, what the fuck is... insulin sensitivity increased significantly in the polyunsaturated fatty acid group, whereas total and low-density lipoprotein cholesterol increased significantly in the saturated group. These data demonstrate that a short-term polyunsaturated keto diet induces a greater level of ketosis and improves insulin sensitivity without adversely affecting total and low-density lipoprotein cholesterol, compared with a traditional saturated fat-based keto diet. Thus, a polyunsaturated fat keto diet may be superior to a classical saturated fat-based keto diet for chronic administration. And we're gonna copy and paste. So again, we talk about insulin resistance, um, and effects on cholesterol. Swapping out, the good healthy fats as he claims they are, um, for polyunsaturated fatty acids. You know, does the low carb thing better if that's what you're searching for? If you're trying to do ketosis, and rather than just like being carnivore for the memes to trigger the vegan libs, um, yeah, it doesn't even do it as well as polyunsaturated fats can. Uh, oh, yeah, oh, this is okay. So this guy, dietary fats and prevention of type 2 diabetes. Although type 2 diabetes is determined primarily by lifestyle and genes, dietary composition may affect both its development and complications. Dietary fat is of particular interest because fatty acids influence glucose metabolism by altering cell membrane function. Um, Again, this is fatty acids, this is all of them. Enzyme activity, insulin signaling, and gene expression. This paper focuses on the prevention of type 2 diabetes and summarizes the epidemiological literature on association between types of dietary fat and diabetes risk. It also summarizes controlled feeding studies on the effects of dietary fats on metabolic mediators such as insulin resistance. Taken together, the evidence suggests that replacing saturated fats and trans fatty acids with unsaturated, polyunsaturated, and/or monounsaturated fats has beneficial effects on insulin sensitivity and is likely to reduce risk of type 2 diabetes. Among polyunsaturated fats, linoleic acid from the N6 series improves insulin sensitivity. On the other hand, long-chain N3 fatty acids do not appear to improve insulin sensitivity or glucose metabolism. Again, when they say do not appear to improve, it means that it's neutral. It does not mean that it's bad. In dietary practice, foods rich in vegetable oils, including non-hydrogenated margarines, nuts, and seeds, should replace foods rich in saturated fats from meats and fat-rich dairy products. Consumption of partially hydrogenated fats should be minimized. Additional controlled long-term studies are needed to improve our knowledge on the optimal proportion of different fats to prevent diabetes. Can't copy, can't paste. Um, uh, I guess whatever. That's specifically insulin resistance, and the other one is insulin resistance and um, cholesterol. Google. Uh, and one more on metabolic health. Uh, so overeating saturated fats promotes fatty liver and ceramides compared with polyunsaturated fat. A randomized trial. Uh, So, context: saturated fatty acid versus polyunsaturated fatty acid may promote non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, but yet unclear mechanisms. Objective is to investigate if overeating saturated fatty acids and polyunsaturated fatty acid enriched diets lead to differential liver fat accumulation in overweight and obese humans. This is a double-blind randomized trial. So overfeeding for 8 weeks, followed by 4 weeks of caloric restriction. 61 people. Uh, that's amazing. Okay, so the intervention was muffins, high in either palm or sunflower oil, added to their normal diet. So they were free living otherwise, and added muffins. That's amazing. So main outcome measures was lean tissue mass, which is not reported. Secondary and exploratory outcomes included liver and ectopic fat depots. By design, body weight was similar in saturated fatty acids and polyunsaturated fatty acids. So, yeah, they're both. So saturated was 2.3, PUFA was 2.0. Saturated fatty acid markedly induced liver fat content, 50% relative increase, along with liver enzymes and atherogenic serum lipids. In contrast, despite similar weight gain, PUFA did not increase liver fat or liver enzymes or cause any adverse effects on blood lipids. Saturated fatty acid had no differential effect on the accumulation of visceral fat, pancreas fat, or total body fat compared to PUFA. So saturated fat consistently increased, whereas polyunsaturated reduced circulating ceramides, changes that were moderately associated with liver fat changes, and proposed markers of hepatic lipogenesis. That means your liver creating fat. The adverse metabolic effects of saturated fatty acids were reversed by calorie restriction. So, conclusion: saturated fatty acid markedly induces liver fat and ceramides, whereas dietary polyunsaturated fatty acids prevents liver fat accumulation and reduces ceramides and hyperlipidemia during excess energy intake and weight gain in overweight individuals. So, isn't that nice? Whatever. We're gonna put this one on the top, even though it shouldn't be there. And fucking DOI link. DOI link. Cool. Okay, so again, there's a lot of studies here, obviously, and most of them are giving the like the same. Like at worst, they're neutral. There's low quality evidence to suggest that improvements were made, which again, like the default thing is that they're neutral. They're not beneficial. They're not harmful. So even when you have low quality data, that isn't necessarily indicative of the opposite. It just means that they're neutral. And yeah, some of them were neutral. Some of them were low quality data, but a lot of them didn't say that, and were pointing to more beneficial effects. But again, even if we're being as charitable as possible, it's neutral at worst. And cancer. So cancer is again, there's not a lot of great data on it. Or rather, there's not a lot of great data that shows there's any impact. This is specifically looking at lung cancer risk. So, dietary fat intake and lung cancer risk, a pooled analysis. Dietary fat may play a role in lung carcinogenesis. Findings from epidemiological studies, however, remain inconsistent. In this pooled analysis of 10 prospective cohort studies from the United States, Europe, and Asia, we evaluated the associations of total and specific types of dietary fat with lung cancer risk. Cox regression was used to estimate hazard ratios and 95% confidence intervals in each cohort. Study-specific risk elements were pooled by random or fixed effects meta-analysis. The first 2 years of follow-up were excluded to address potential influence of preclinical dietary changes. So, among 1.4 million participants, 18,000 incident cases were identified with a mean follow-up of 9.4 years. High intakes of total and saturated fat were associated with an increased risk of lung cancer. For the highest versus lowest quintile, hazard ratio is 1.07 and 1.14 respectively. So hazard ratio is whatever. It's hazard ratios are kind of complicated, but you're comparing, whatever. We're comparing the three things, and the hazard ratio is the higher incidence of an occurrence, basically. I think this is specifically mortality. I don't know. Maybe low conviction on that statement. So the positive association of saturated fat was more evident among current smokers uh, than former/never smokers for squamous cell and small cell carcinoma than other histologic types. In contrast, a high intake of polyunsaturated fat was associated with a decreased risk of lung cancer. Um, a 5% energy substitution of saturated fat with polyunsaturated fat was associated with a 16 to 17% lower risk of small cell and squamous cell carcinoma. No associations were found for monounsaturated fat. Again, this is saying you replace 5% of your calories of saturated fat with polyunsaturated fat, and there is a 16 to 17% drop in risk for lung cancer. Findings from this large international cohort consortium suggest that modifying dietary fat intake, i.e., replacing saturated fat with polyunsaturated fat, may reduce lung cancer risk, particularly among smokers and for squamous and small cell carcinoma. But yeah, so this is whatever. This is obviously just for one very specific type of cancer, and it's just a study, so it is cute, nice-ish, but overall, but yeah, whatever. There's a whole boatload of papers for you, I guess. What else? Oh, yeah. So I'll have to find the study. Whatever. It's gonna be hard to dig through to find actual human outcome studies for this, which is what we need to actually make reasonable conclusions about this, or about whether or not they have an impact on oxidative stress in the body. But I know I've seen studies that demonstrate that there is an inconsistent outcome, but the studies that show any sort of negative impact is generally when it's like repeatedly like heated and cooled and heated and cooled. So stuff that's being deep fried and there's breaks in between is your highest risk. So like your fried foods like fries and chicken nuggies. But like again, like there could be some risk in cooking in oil that has been heated and cooled over and over and over again. But the reality of the situation is like, is it the oil? Is it really the oil? or is it the fact that you're eating chicken nuggets from McDonald's? So yeah, so if you're over consuming that kind of stuff, yeah, again, you're probably going to have some negative health outcomes, and it's probably has more to do with eating, fried food for 2.5 meals a day than it does, to be related for some hypothetical oxidative stress that could be caused from certain seed oils. So, yeah, we have other studies, other stuff you're looking at. But yeah, so whatever. These are a large collection of controlled human outcome randomized trials. That is a great gold standard. The reality of the situation also is that your diet is a lifetime exposure risk. For most of these trials, like you have to control the feeding of them, and the longer it gets, the more expensive it is. You have to like pay people to be in studies. You have to pay for the food. If you're like super duper controlling their diet and you have to prepare all of their food for them or provide all their food for them rather, that people start to fall off when it's 2 years worth uh, of stuff that you're or 2 years worth of eating only meals that the science lab sends you, which is a big ask of people. For some reason, I don't know. I'm not a food guy, so uh, but yeah. So as far as I know, there are no adequately controlled human randomized uh, con- control trials where saturated fat is replaced with polyunsaturated fat, and you observe an increase in negative health outcomes. The absolute worst case scenario, it's neutral. More often, better health outcomes were observed, whether that's you know risk of cardiovascular disease, your you know your total cholesterol, both your total cholesterol and your ratio of cholesterol, your insulin sensitivity, liver fat. Um, yeah, I mean, whatever. You can see a whole. Uh, yeah, I mean, like the best evidence to support any of the Stude's points are, studies done in a petri dish in animal models, which is not, whatever. It's an interesting thing to take in mind and can like point to explaining why some outcomes happen, but in the real world, you are not a petri dish full of purified organ cells. So they're not yeah, not a great way to make great decisions. Um, so after looking at the data, uh, you can start to see like where the grift is coming from. Experts in fields, or people who actually know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't use a lot of super strong language. They don't use, um, like they're not saying stuff like always and never. You should always eat this, and this is always good for you. This is always bad for you, or this is the best thing for you, or this is the worst thing for you. Anytime you're hearing that about studies, especially when they don't actually provide any fucking citations, it's a red flag. Uh, Anyone who's respectable, who's citing you studies, should be able to give you both sides of it. The studies often do, but no one reads the fucking studies, which is a problem. But that's why you have people like me. But yeah, the reality is there is no perfect diet. I'm gonna repeat this every fucking day. There is no perfect diet. But when it comes to uh, being more intentional about your diet, there are no solutions. There are only trade-offs. There is no diet that's going to optimize your muscle building potential, minimize your cardiovascular disease risk, and minimize your incidence of cancer. There's a lot of trade-offs to each of those that carnivores won't acknowledge. Vegans will also not acknowledge them, which is cringe and lame, and they shouldn't do that. But both extremes in this side of this argument are often misrepresenting studies, and they're trying to throw some crazy like mechanistic stuff. It's like, well, in this petri dish full of monkey liver, actually meat caused cancer 100% of the time. It's like, okay, well, what happens in humans though? Because you are not that. You're a complex biological organism. You're not a machine. Like you're a living thing. Who's a product of hundreds and thousands of different mechanisms interacting all at the same time, and different types of mechanisms in different areas of your body. But yeah, so when they throw the mechanistic studies at you, what they're trying to do is to fearmonger over short-term responses rather than long-term outcomes. Again, all of this stuff, like your diet, is a lifetime exposure risk. Like a bad diet isn't going to kill you in a week or a month or a year or a decade or a couple of decades. Will it kill you in 3 decades? Maybe. But yeah, I mean, there is some genetic variation, and some people can handle more uh, m- uh more extremes in their diet. Yeah. But yeah, a common thing that you'll also see in a lot of these studies is that caloric restriction is the number one. Their adherence to caloric restriction is the number one predictor of good health outcomes. There aren't a lot of like that's it's mostly what these people are trying to sell to you is um, like a whole lifestyle of like, oh, I have the secret. It's actually, like this is the thing that's like keeping you sick. And really what they're pitching is like, stop eating 2.5 meals a day that are, over 2,000 calories a piece. Because that's what most people's problem is. But no one likes to hear that. They would like to be sold a conspiratorial narrative about how they're keeping information from you. Now, I mean, big food, which apparently is just big vegetable and not big meat, and big dairy apparently aren't part of big food. Um, yeah, like they're all in cahoots and conspiring against you and don't want you to know this stuff. Which is why this this Teriak dude, went to AI, typed in why meat good, why vegetables bad, and just rattled off whatever it told him, because he is too incompetent to actually engage with the research, and is trying to sell you something. He's trying to sell you the answers. What this is the pattern to what they all do is they fearmonger about like, oh, do you know how they even make this stuff? They have to use all these crazy chemicals, but in reality, if you go pick up any food in the world, uh, and just point to one of the ingredients and like see what happens when you put 1,000 times like what anyone could ever consume in a day in a petri dish with some specific type of tissue cells. uh yeah, I mean, you can make anything look bad, you can make anything look good. um but yeah, that is the that's the grift. um oh yeah, yeah, and the other part is the you know every study that disagrees with me, they want to know the funding, they want to read the methodology, because actually, I have some questions about this. You notice like anything that like is pro like low carb or pro meat eating, like they'll never look at the funding for that. Like they won't see, like they don't care that the Dairy Farm Alliance is also producing uh research against the Vegan Farmers Association. uh, but yeah, the that's like the bias, right? Is uh yeah, all the studies that disagree with me are biased and paid for and corrupt and bought. But all the studies that prove my narrative are good and robust and reliable, and definitely not just as corrupt as the rest of them. Uh, this is why I hate anti-intellectual, anti-establishment, uh, partisan hacks. Yeah. Again, whatever. It's all just a grift. They're trying to sell you something, um, and they will weaponize their incompetence to do it. Uh, and yeah, at the end of the day, most of these people are just selling you stop eating McDonald's twice a day, every day of the week, and go outside sometimes, maybe walk around, and you'll feel so much better. And it's not because you're on the fucking carnivore diet, okay? It's not because you went low carb or keto or high fat, low fat, or whatever. It's just if your diet sucks and you make it better, if you're not exercising, not going outside, and then you start doing that, and crazy thing, if you start doing both at the same time, yeah, you're gonna feel better. You're gonna live longer. Statistically, we're all gonna die of cardiovascular stuff. Um, pretty sure the mortality rate of that is way higher than cancer. And the thing the thing about cardiovascular disease is that you don't feel it. Like it doesn't like there is no like thing that you can point to there. It's just this like general thing that's happening to all your endothelial cells. Cancer, is a growth, is a place in your body that we can point to and like watch it grow and see what kind of shit it's doing. But yeah, cardiovascular disease, you don't feel that. Like you just have a heart attack one day, and maybe survive, maybe not. Um, but uh, so yeah, and if you're gonna roll the dice on stuff and listen to people about some things, um, yeah, your cardiovascular health is not something you want to fuck around with. So maybe don't listen to dumb fuck Irish people telling you that vegetables are evil and there's a conspiracy. Because you're gonna die sooner than the rest of us. How much sooner? Arguable. Not gonna kill you super fast. It's not the difference between dying at like 60 and 40, but it is the difference between dying at like 68 and 75, which are both like pretty long times. And like maybe you don't care about those 7 years. That's fine. Like you're allowed to not do that, but just like know that you're taking that risk. If you want to do that and eat the carnivore diet and like the risks, then like that's fine. That's your choice to make. Like that, I don't think anyone should be able to take that away from you. That's stupid. But I do have a problem with people who are lying to you, who are just straight up like spewing bullshit that is just wrong. Who have no citations, no bibliography, no understanding of metabolism, like no experience in biochemistry, no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Yeah, that's not okay. you know, uh, they're doing harm, and that's bad. Um, you know what? That's the other thing I want to Google before I. I'm not gonna go on this panel, okay? Uh, oh yeah. Food with benzene in it. AI. Thanks. Um, Sorry. Survey of benzene in foods using stuff and things. Recently, the combination of sodium or potassium benzoate with ascorbic acid was shown to produce low levels, nanograms per gram of benzene in fruit flavored soft drinks. Presence of benzene was also reported in butter, eggs, meat, and certain fruits. Levels of these findings ranged from zero point 0.5 nanograms per gram in butter to 500 to 1900 nanograms per gram in eggs. Because benzoates are widely used as food preservatives, a limited survey of other foods containing added benzoate salts was conducted to investigate the potential for benzene formation. Selected foods that did not contain added benzoates but were previously reported to contain benzene were analyzed for comparison. More than 50 foods were analyzed by purge and trap or static headspace concentration and capillary gas chromatography. Benzene was quantitated by using the method of standard additions, and its identity was confirmed by mass selective detection. Results of this limited survey show that foods without added benzoates, including eggs, contain benzene levels equal to or less than 2 nanograms per gram. Slightly higher levels were present in some foods and beverages containing both ascorbic acid and sodium benzoate. Um, so, yeah. Look, I want to read one more. based. Most studies indicate non-alcoholic beverages as the best candidates for benzene formation. Suckers. Oh, okay. There are no legal limits for benzene in foods or beverages. Limit established for potable water was used as a reference. 10 parts per billion established by the World Health Organization, 5 by the US EPA, and 1 by the European Council. 2001, the Brazilian Federal Public Ministry signed a conduct adjustment term with 3 soft drink manufacturers, establishing a maximum acceptable benzene content of 5 parts per billion. In this review, we summarized the benzene formation mechanisms in food and beverages occurrence, and mitigation measures, as well as data analysis of benzene in food, mainly non-alcoholic beverages, to investigate the potential risk of benzene exposure through oral ingestion. Okay, this is actually going to this might be the guy. Benzene. Table 1. Benzene in foods. Okay, so this does have organ meats, but oh yeah, actually, that's okay, that's old. But you know what? Fuck them. Oh damn, I guess fuck me. Foods. The organ meats. 18 parts per billion, and fruit-based products. And stuff. We're fucking lazy, alright? Less than 1 part per billion. So again, talking about seed oils, and in the UK at least, where he is, well, or yeah, is why I'm like UK. No, they Brexited from that. That's not true. That's not how that works. But yeah, so it was well below the detectable, or not the detectable limit, but yeah, there are other things here, and but yeah, mostly non-alcoholic beverages. Oh, okay. So yeah, what do they do? Mechanistic studies that are chained together that attempt to explain cherry-picked epidemiological data, and then you combine that with fear-mongering over the extraction process. Look at all this stuff they have to do to get this out. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of a lot of horrific shit that's like done to, you know, like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like if you sat someone down and watched them like watch like a slaughtering and butchering of a farm animal, That'd be just as scary a process to engage in than all these crazy chemical solvents that are totally unheard of. Yeah, who gives a shit how it's made? It doesn't matter. I don't care if it's. I mean, I think the extraction of seed oils is like similar to how they get motor oil, and like yeah, sure. Like who? Like what is it? What the fuck does that have to do with anything? I don't. I, meat requires high heat. Like I don't know if you've ever heard of this thing called grilling, where you throw lighter fluid on charcoal and like to heat up this hot metal box to make food. And that's not weird, but apparently like like high heat oil, like I don't know. Apparently, what temperature are you supposed to here? What grilling is hot, right? Grilling temperature, cook meat. So yeah, I mean 450 to 550 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's a high heat thing. Temperature extract seed oil 450 to 550. Fuck AI. God damn it. This is why you don't trust AI. This is why you don't look to AI for the studies. So I looked for temperature to extract seed oil. The ideal temperature for extracting seed oil depends on the desired extraction method. Yeah, no shit. And the oil's intended use. So cold pressed oil, which is below 120 degrees Fahrenheit, which is colder than what you grill meat at. The low temperature helps preserve the oil's nutrients, antioxidants, and natural flavors. Cold pressed oil is also a good choice for engine fuel because it has lower levels of phosphorus, which can be harmful to diesel engines. Um, I think they're combining two totally different things there. Uh, uh, okay, so this soil was extracted above boiling, but again, what was the? Oh, wait, go back. So again, grilling is 450. Boiling is 212. And then in Celsius, boiling is 100, and they're extracting it at 120 degrees in this study. I don't know what the fuck is the standard practice. They probably have probably a secret. I would imagine there's probably a secret. Can I do that? Holy shit, that works. Holy fuck, I didn't know that. That's um oh, that's interesting. Okay, we're gonna look. This is gonna be too much physics for me. I don't know any of this shit. Um, okay, so rates of extraction were determined from ground sunflower seeds. The oil yield in the extract increased with higher contact time and extraction temperature in all the cases. So yeah, that makes sense. Higher temperature extracts more shit. Um, but again, if you're grilling, your steak, like I don't know what temperature you need to get your fucking pan to sear a steak, but guarantee you it's not it's not below boiling. What? Okay, let's look. What temperature to sear steak? Yeah. So again, I don't know if you want to talk about like whatever. Christ. But yeah, I mean, again, talking about 300 degrees Fahrenheit compared to much lower. Yeah, just crazy, crazy time, wild. So yeah, all this high temperature, the extraction process. We're gonna add. Okay, we're gonna add high and steaks sear at between 3 to 500 degf. Um, which is, yeah, I mean, yeah, again, want to talk about a high heat process? It's a pretty high fucking heat process. Um, there's the horse this. No, whatever. Listen, we're gonna stream all 3 days this week. We'll come back for soy tomorrow. So anyway, that is that's why all of what he said, is bullshit. Um, for the seed oil stuff, and again, anything that disagrees with him is, obviously just wrong or fake or whatever. Um, oh, oh, jeez. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Everything you said was bullshit. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's just hand waving all these studies because it's not processed oil. And again, I mean, yeah, sure. If you reduce all seed oils down to the shit that they're using at McDonald's to cook your fries and nuggies, then yeah, no shit, you're gonna have negative health outcomes. And it's probably not the seed oil. The common thread there is probably the egregious amount of extra calories and a higher, uh, yeah, whatever, higher calories, lower quality food. Yeah, if you want to reduce everything down to that, then um, yeah, obviously it's gonna look bad. So um, yeah, that's seed oils. That's why. That's how Teriak is lying to you. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I want to spend more time improving this or just chop it up afterwards and see what happens. Hmm. Well, but yeah, I'll do the sort of thing tomorrow. All right, listen, we're not going on the fucking Kane panel, okay? But let's just see. Just see.
Um,
There we go.
that have no idea that I'm like a laid back, chill, brush it off the shoulder guy who never really talks, right? Like people will call me quiet who've known me a long time, but on the internet, I'm the loudest, most bombastic, controversial person, Confrontational is a word
So
that,
you do like confrontation.
according to my internet friends, absolutely.
Okay. But okay, that's what they say about you. I haven't heard you go after anybody. In fact, like you said, now that I think about it, I haven't noticed you ever around when Mike's around. So you obviously don't want to get on here and yell back and forth with him when a lot of people are itching for that opportunity.
No, no, I there's a certain
Is
curiosity
shit gonna be
there,
too loud?
given our history. I would like to panel with him and see if he could have a conversation about the topic and not bring up, you know,
I
like
think he
see how
can.
it.
Yeah. I mean, he has on
Yeah.
my stage, on my channel, man. When I've talked to him, I've talked to him for like 2 hours, and he was
I
perfectly
think so
fine.
too.
I
Just
mean,
so long
he
as
was perfectly fine.
as
Nobody
long
nobody
as
was
no
around
one,
pushing his buttons. But
right?
yeah, then when some people showed up in chat and then they started talking shit, and then he did kind of get wound up. So I mean, what I think he does love it, but he's also affected by it. So it's not good for him. You know, he should leave it alone. You know, my advice, I would walk away from the shit. If I was you, Mike.
That's it.
I
I
mean,
like John. I like John Galt. I don't go to his channel anymore because
Fuck is John Galt.
I was arguing over stupid shit with retards, and I was like, "This is a fucking waste of my time."
yeah. I mean, I only want to be involved in things that make me better as a person somehow.
Right,
Otherwise,
and
I
not
just feel
take it
like
the
I'm
other
wasting
way.
my time. Yeah.
And that might be a complete lack of use of time, like wasting time just chilling out. But at least that's a positive thing if I'm just chilling out.
You know.
But yeah, like I there was we were
A brief wheezy break.
Can you hear me? And then he didn't answer.
yeah, he could hear
That's
me.
why I
I
thought
couldn't hear him.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Muted. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, I had the
um,
tab muted.
I'm working off of this other mic today. So how is my mic, everyone?
It's we can hear you.
All right. If it gets too close or too far, just let me know. Okay, so yeah, I'm trying to be. That was a really ignorant conversation to me, but I want to believe that they just don't know better and they're in good faith, and that's just the starting point that they're at. So I'm trying to take a compassionate stance, and but we can have our version of the conversation now. And Moose, you can come up too if you want, or it. No women are coming on the panel today, so if you want to come up, we're talking about men's
Damn.
things that men go through. And if you're a man and want to come up and talk about
Oh,
that,
I guess if men, that's the straight. I was
Vic,
like,
you can
he's
come up
leading
too.
with that.
This is a limited
You got
open
no
panel.
input on what men go through.
Dennis's mic is terrible.
Hang on, let me.
Vic. I missed Vic.
Yeah. So what is up?
Damn, that's
Nothing.
some shit to hit you with right when you walk in the door. It's like, whoa.
I'm trying to do panels, to
Like give you
Oh wait, he didn't ask you a question, did he?
he said what's up.
No, I was just thinking that. Never mind.
flowers?
Yeah, and get my channel, to show up.
Um, um, yes. Um, honesty. Integrity. It's impossible to say you're wrong about anything substance. Most people introspect and iterate on if the facts don't match reality. If someone given their model of they can either change text or change their model. Most people choose the former. Sesame. No. Need answers. Come on. Reasonable mind. Um,
So it'll show me like gaming channels I've never seen, homesteading channels I've never seen, science
in the
channels
house.
I've never seen. Yo, what's
What's up, Jack?
how's it going? You're still going strong, I see.
So,
Called off work to do
chilling.
the real work.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
boy,
that's it. You caught me.
for sure. Bro, I got stuck at I don't know. I was
I'm
like,
already feeling guilty enough, man. You don't have to pour salt in the wounds.
oh, for sure. Yeah, my bad. I like was trying to get out of work like on time, because that's the best that I can do. And yeah, someone like I don't know, like at the end of my shift brought me like at least like a 40-minute project, and I was like, well, that looks kind of fun. So I kind of want to do that, and yeah, so started
So
streaming
you're
it like,
eager to get back to work.
no, I mean, no, I was eager to stream. Then I got home and it was like already like 2 a.m. God damn it.
I saw you. It looked like you were prepping for your rebuttal video on the plants poisoning us.
Yeah, yeah, I'm trying to pare stuff
cabbages.
down. I unironically have like pages of notes, just like, studies and points that I've been going back and forth on. So we're getting there.
Show me the one for our debates. I bet you're way more prepared than I am. I don't even remember the topics. Well, we got like 3 topics. 3 different
It's the
topics.
sex is a spectrum thing.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like I have
Yeah,
paper notes.
I did prepare a little bit for that.
Yeah, for sure. This is basically like what I had sent you, but like I wrote it by hand instead.
Yeah, we need to work something out sometime here in the next few weeks when
For
we
sure.
both got some time off when we can do that.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think sometimes internet beefs can be solved, but it depends on if they're something that like reasonable minds can disagree on. I don't know. If you're
That's a large aspect of it.
yeah. I mean, yeah. And yeah, I don't know. That issue is like, I mean, kind of exacerbated because like realizing that you're wrong and admitting it in real time like on a panel is like a really big ask. Most people aren't, willing to change their mind at all. Like they're pretty set, but even if you're willing
Like
to,
you with that fucking graph the other night. Did you rewatch that shit?
no, I didn't have to rewatch it. I like, I
mean,
stand
maybe
by
you
all
need
of
to
my
like
points
sit with that graph a little bit. Just y'all need some alone time.
for sure. Yeah. Um,
But yeah, I mean that's what you're mentioning. I mean, I'm sure I got my I try to look at the data, and I'll admit I'm wrong. I think I admitted I was wrong when I was talking to what's her name, Liliana.
mhm.
I said something I was wrong.
Yeah. I mean, like,
And,
it's not
we
impossible,
need to
but
admit when we're wrong.
right. But yeah, I
If
mean,
you want to learn, if you want to grow,
yeah,
stop being so egotistical.
right. Well, the problem is that there's
But
also like a split in this group where like, so when you encounter what's known as a cognitive dissonance, where like, like reality and your like, like the facts in your model of reality like don't, like aren't cohesive or they aren't like compatible, you have two options. You can either change your mind or you can change the facts, to just comport with whatever model you have and say like actually like there's no, like we can hand wave that because actually like that's just like invalid. Like I reject that fact. Uh,
which is what you did with that graph.
uh,
I mean, I'm not saying it proved anything, but you refused to even consider it as a data point or give it any type of value.
I mean like
No, actually, you denied that it had a pattern. That was the main issue with it.
well yeah I mean
You
I would
denied
like
that
to
they
see
were.
further analysis like on like
Did you look at it?
what I
I'll
mean.
send it to you here. I'll post it. Hold on.
No, I mean, like it's not like that's not what I need. I need to know like about like maybe some meteors that showed up at some time, or maybe like some volcanoes that erupted all at the same time to like see where those like peaks happened. And if like like what factors in,
Those
like
peaks
it's like
happen over like
is it just like a natural cycle of the Earth where like every 50,000 years it just randomly spews out a fuck ton of carbon dioxide and like fucks up
You're
the
like,
weather for a while. Um,
no, I think those peaks happen over like 10,000 years, probably 5 to 7,000 years,
Yeah.
10,000 years. It's not a rapid change like that. It's not just caused by. I don't think it's caused by a volcano erupting. To get a change like that, go ahead.
It could support man-made climate change too, because one could argue that they're all population explosions. And if the dinosaurs contributed to global warming, man certainly did.
you want to know like a crazy thing?
That would be some pretty
Well,
uniform population explosions, though.
I mean, it's not
Well,
uniform
I
at
mean, if
all.
you think about it, if it's the CO2 levels making life, kicking back mammals and advanced, species, then it would make sense. You'd hit that peak until it became a runaway
Yeah, I do think
climate,
those.
and then only
I do think
plants
those are
and
the
bugs would
times when.
survive, right?
Yeah, I think those are in those peaks. That is when mankind thrives. It's probably we keep losing the record every time it gets cold again. I mean, it stays most of the
In the
world's
be-
ice for.
In the beginning, right? Yeah. Well, like we're benefiting from the fact that it's a lot warmer right now,
Yeah, exactly.
and there's a lot more carbon in the atmosphere. One could argue that's a runaway cycle, though, and that'll eventually destroy us.
Or one could argue that that's the only thing staving off the next ice age.
Correct.
Or I mean, so
The fact that you can only hold one of those things in your mind to me means that you're emotionally attached, right? Like that's
Yeah,
yeah.
so like
Yep.
just
It
for
could
like
be
point of
either or
reference,
for me.
Me too.
so like modern Homo sapiens, or arguably somewhere between 160,000 and 300,000 years ago, if you believe the Earth is that old. So like yeah, like that graph, like humankind only existed in the first like third of that graph.
Yeah, and there's a difference in the cycles too, which is another argument for man-caused climate change.
I've
The
heard of that
cycles
Nemesis X before. It's supposed to be on like a 25,000 year cycle or something like that. I mean, that almost coincides with those with those 50,000 year cycles coming around twice a year, maybe the second or twice a cycle, second time it comes around. I'm just
The,
saying it's something that could fit.
the patterns look more intense once humans show up in that graph, so it also lends more credence to the man-made climate change argument. Right? Like
Yeah,
it's
I'm not saying that we're not raising the temperature a bit. I don't think it's the primary factor.
Like, what percentage
right.
would you give it? Like, so obviously less than 51
I
because
really
that would
can't
be.
say
So, I mean,
how much.
is it like 40% or is it like 2%? Like, which number is it closer to?
I would give it something probably like 7 or 8%, but it's climbing rapidly.
For sure. So like less than 10, but maybe we're almost at 10. Okay.
And with things
Yeah.
of this nature, 7% could be the difference between a sustainable climate and fucking chaos.
It definitely could lead to a runaway effect.
Yeah.
But also, the oceans are a huge carbon sink.
Yeah. You know what happens when carbon dioxide dissolves into water? Do you like soda?
Yes, I love soda.
Hell
Okay.
yeah.
So you know how
With
soda is
syrup in
bubbly?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know if soda is like acidic or basic?
It's acidic.
Yeah, right. So soda is made with like, they
So
bubble carbon dioxide through it and it makes it very acidic because it turns into carbonic acid when dissolved in solution. So yeah, we can just sink all that carbon
right.
into our oceans and just drop their pH, like 1 or 2.
Well, I mean,
Like that'll be fine.
what
Nothing
is the
wrong with that.
ratio of the amount of carbon we're talking about compared to the size of the ocean?
Pretty fucking
How
large,
much carbon
dog.
dioxide are we talking about? Like
A lot.
0.0000034%?
Um,
Check
Oh,
it
and
out.
like
real quick,
what?
How much carbon dioxide is in there? Hold on.
this
Yeah, what's
this
up?
is why if we were serious about these things, we could come up with solutions too, because simply like creating algae farms could be a way to combat that excess
Exactly.
carbonic acid.
There's always outside
We
solutions
could
that
come
they
up with
won't even consider.
right. We could come up with real solutions if we're being honest with each other and not making a political football all the time.
Yeah, but they're just up there fighting for power and shit. They don't give a fuck about this crap.
Right.
I probably could have worded that a little better.
Okay. So I don't have the exact numbers. Well, whatever. I have 2 numbers to throw you. So
0.04% of the atmosphere.
What?
It's what the AI mastermind AI says. The
sure.
carbon dioxide makes up approximately 0.04% of the Earth's atmosphere.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't take a large percentage to be totally fucked though.
Yeah.
No,
Like
but if you're talking about calcifying the entire freaking ocean, that's going to take a lot more
so the
carbon
ocean
dioxide than that. I
so
mean,
okay, so that
it's
is
the
the
ocean,
current
bro.
that is the current percentage, right? And I don't know like where it was at before. But it has like, like increased lately
Okay, what
a
is
lot.
the percentage of carbon
So
dioxide in the ocean?
So the ocean absorbs about 25 to 30% of our carbon dioxide. And again, like what I'm worried about is the acidity changing of the ocean. And so in the last 200 years, like since the Industrial Revolution began, the ocean has fallen 0.1 pH, which is a, whatever, it's a small number, but it's also a logarithmic scale. So like means like 1 unit, you're dividing by 10.
This here says, according to the ocean absorbs around 30% of the 0.04% of carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere, making it the
Say that
largest
again.
carbon sink on Earth.
Yeah. I mean,
Repeat that.
According to current data, the ocean absorbs around 30% of the carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere, which is 0.04%, making it the largest carbon sink on Earth. This means that roughly 30% of the CO2 in the atmosphere is currently dissolved in the ocean.
Yep. and its acidity has increased in the past 200 years about 30%. So yeah, that's like
I
on
mean, and
track.
how do you know it's the carbon dioxide that's causing it? I mean, or that it's man-made, that it's not carbon dioxide being released from underwater volcanic events that we're not aware of. I mean, there's all kinds of factors. You can't just straight jump to man-made climate change, in my opinion.
Okay, well, I mean, you're appealing to a
This
bunch of
video is
like
going to get
possibilities,
flagged
right?
too.
Yeah,
I mean, there are
obviously.
possibilities in life. I mean, unless you show me data proving otherwise, yeah, I got to consider those possibilities.
Sure. So like, have you ever like looked up like where the sources, like the major sources of CO2 are from? Like, like, do you think we're not checking in on like underwater volcanic eruptions, or that
Yeah, I
there's no
mean,
way to detect
y-
that? Like,
so,
have you actually looked
you think
into
we
that
have
data?
you think we have every single
So
underwater volcano mapped
okay, so you're
on Earth?
talking about like we already have all all the ones that we can find out about mapped, but there's probably more that we can't find. Or like have you
I
ever
don't know.
dug into this data, dude?
No, I don't know how many. Have you?
For sure.
I don't know
Okay,
how many underwater volcano events there are. Let's check it out.
for sure.
I've seen claims that humans put out more CO2 emissions than all the volcanoes in the history of Earth, and I find that
I
to
saw
be
that
just
headline
as
one time.
yeah, I find that to be just as dogmatic as the Catholics' claims about flat Earth and Earth centricism and all that kind of
I do too. I
ridiculous
find
nonsense.
it's almost like a religious belief. People get upset over it, like they do when you're discussing religion, and they take a lot of shit on faith.
Yeah. I've seen scientists say a lot of, as someone who believes in science and considers themselves pro
Yeah,
science,
yeah.
I find a lot of scientists saying a lot of stupid fucking shit.
There's a lot of flaws in it. The scientific method is impeccable, but in practice, it's garbage. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
lot of
still people, institutions,
institutions and
financial
political.
incentives,
Yeah.
shit. Sometimes they lie about shit just so that they can be the first. Like just pride and ego don't even escape the scientific realm.
I mean, think about it. If you're working on a piece of knowledge that you're telling people, say it's about climate change, and the results can only be replicated in a $800 billion lab, there's only so many people that can fund a project like that. So when we talk about peer review, it's like,
Right.
okay, peer review is great and all, but if they're all funded by the same small group of people that can afford to do that shit, what's it really mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, this says estimates of the number of underwater volcanoes range from a few thousand to over 1 million. I mean, that
Yeah.
sounds
So
like they don't have them all mapped.
they're telling
Even
you right there,
close.
Jack. They don't know what the fuck
Are
how many there are.
those okay? So we need to be like smart about this, right? So are all those active volcanoes? Is it easier to count the active volcanoes compared to the like spent volcanoes? And are you getting all of these answers from AI?
I mean, right now we are, yeah.
Okay. So
Unless you can suggest a better alternate. What, you want me to go to Google Scholar? Hold on.
I mean, so so how many like how much CO2 does an underwater like interrupting underwater volcano produce versus like how many?
Well, I'm sure they vary.
For sure. But like, yeah, I mean, if like, I don't know, if you want to look at like how much CO2 like humans have produced, over the past good amount of time.
Yeah, scientists claim that volcanoes have nothing on us, and I find that very hard to believe.
Yeah, I do too, because they can belch out metric tons of CO2 in seconds. It's
in
ridiculous.
a single instant, and they've been going off for millennia. So
yeah, they don't want you to think about this.
But like,
it hits my I got like a bullshit bone that tinges every time I hear bullshit, and it hits that bone, and which doesn't make me disbelieve it. It makes me want to look into it further,
exactly,
and not make my mind up either way. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And I guarantee you this video is going to have another content warning flag on it with another fact check that says, actually, scientists do agree that man is causing man-made climate change. It's like our last time we talked about it.
I've actually sourced that claim, and that was one of the first things that had me.
I should source that claim right now. Motherfucker.
Yeah, the claim that most scientists agree is false, and it's based. The source for it is discredited. And then, of course, you know, the C-19 happened.
It's hilarious. It's discredited.
Yeah, like once the C time came and went, and the things that the World Health Organization and the CDC were claiming, I mean, that's it. I can't tell you on YouTube because I'm not allowed. But yeah, you get the point. These
Okay, here, the United Nations climate. Yeah, I hear you. It's ridiculous. Climate change referring. This is the crap they stuck on my video here. Climate change fact check. What is climate change? Refers to the long-term shift. We know what it is. We don't need a recap. Shifts can be natural due to the changes in the sun's activity or large volcanic eruptions. It says it right there. But since the 1800s, activities have been the main driver of climate change. Where's the proof?
since when?
Primarily due to things since the 1800s. So it's basically it started with the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we have more carbon dioxide in our atmosphere than the past like 15 million years.
Yeah, but that's why we're here. Humans
Yeah,
wouldn't
exactly.
be here
I
right
mean-
now if it weren't for all that extra carbon.
It doesn't mean we can't adapt to it and live under those conditions. I mean, have you ever seen any data that says humans can't live in these conditions? All it says is that they're going to change, but okay.
Well, change how?
The Earth's going to get, what, 5 degrees hotter?
Yeah.
And
You
what is
understand that
gonna
like
translate to?
weather
That's a
doesn't
5
happen like to the whole globe, right? Like that impacts a lot of like
That's
other
a
stuff.
5% mean change over the entire freaking Earth. That's a lot of.
Sure. So
I mean,
like do you
what do you
think
think's
that
going to happen?
so do you think that every place in the world is just going to be permanent, like that means like that every place in the world is permanently 5 degrees warmer all the time?
No,
That's
not
not
at
how
all.
that
It's
works, right?
It's moving around, swirling around. There's going to be weather systems, but it don't mean that they're going to be unlivable.
We're seeing
No,
what's
but they're
gonna
gonna be
happen
like-
right
like,
now.
you
It's
know-
already happening.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
they always have been. We've always lived with storms.
yeah,
People
but they're
are
but they've been getting
migrating from the
worse
south
and more
and
frequent.
from the hottest.
Yeah,
People are
And that-
migrating from the south and the hottest places on Earth and integrating into different societies. And
and that's what's always been throughout history. That's what's drove people to move is because their land dried up or whatever. The climate changed and they had to move. I mean, that's what's driven human civilization.
No, it hasn't. Do
Yeah.
you have any like proof of that? Like human civilization, like
Anthropology.
most of it has
Everything.
been like in cities. Like I don't know, like what the fuck you're talking about. Where it's like, oh, like
What
you
are
know,
you
San
talking
Francisco
about?
dried up. I mean, if we're talking about like what drives
You
humans.
want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What's the oldest city on Earth?
Sumer, or actually, but they've been finding these old ones. That's the first.
Is it-
That's
Is it
that's
the
first
word
reckon-
civilization? Is that what you're saying? That implies modernity of some kind? Because I'm talking about like 500,000 years of existence.
Oh, I mean,
I think
sure.
we've had these big
I-
brains for 2 million years.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying 500,000. I could get Google to agree to, you know. But yeah, I would say we're at least 2 million years old. Arguably 5 or
I
6
agree.
million years.
I don't know what that means,
I
but
wouldn't be
sure.
surprised
I mean, as a species,
that our
As-
brain
as-
has been this big since.
No, I
for
brought
at
this
least
up,
2 million years.
like, well, sure, but like, I mean, if we're talking about like modern Homo sapiens, like that's like 300,000 years ago. Like, I don't know if I want to
would you say 3?
That's what they say.
300,000. Yes.
Yeah. No, I would concede to that for the sake of conversation, and that's my point about cities.
I mean, sure. I mean, like again, like I feel like the whole point of the like that, like most empires were there for a while. Their land didn't dry up. You know, they got murked by like somewhere at like another kingdom. I guess I don't really.
People have always been forced to move due to famine.
I mean, how have most empires fallen? Was it because their land dried up and like so they just moved?
Empires, I'd say they overextended themselves.
Have you
But
read the Bible, dude? That's how they talk about is famines and shit. You
uh,
don't think they moved when that shit happened? Or they just laid down and died because they were hungry?
I mean, most of them probably didn't die on purpose, but but I mean, yeah, I don't
Let
know.
me
Like
see.
sustenance farming hasn't been like the main mode of human production for, I don't know. I guess.
Have humans been forced to move due to climate change in the past?
well, it's going to tell you yes because
Yeah,
it's
I
happened
mean,
in the last 20 years.
yeah, that's a bad question to.
What's a better phrasing?
Like
Ancient, were ancient humans
Ancient
forced to
civilizations.
forced to migrate due to climate change.
well, I mean, the AI thing is going to give you changes in climate, because the AI is trained on data and it's Google, so it's like, oh, you meant this.
It says, yes, historical evidence indicates that several ancient civilizations were forced to move due to climate change, with the Indus Valley civilization being a prominent example, where people migrated away from the Indus River Philippine Valley, likely due to shifts in the climate, causing changes in rainfall patterns and flooding. That's
Yeah, yeah.
exactly what I'm talking about.
And
No,
then
no, no.
those
So
I've
people
that's
seen,
not what
literally
climate
created
change
modern
is.
day Europeans.
That's not what climate change
right.
is. Where we're talking about climate change is like, again, like the levels at
That
which.
is climate change. That's not weather. That's climate change. I've seen video footage taken over a year or two of rivers literally drying up or moving. I've seen one, it moved like, I don't know, it was like 20 meters or some shit.
Yeah, so like, how do you know it's not happening at like a faster or a slower rate than historical average? Like why are you just presuming that like things
I'm
are
not
that way?
saying it's not happening faster. I'm just saying it's not the primary fucking cause.
Well, I mean, you don't know that.
It might be. Like I said, I would probably give it 7 or 8%
See, the
increase,
narrative
unless
is
I seen some better data that showed me it is more.
the narrative is that the Earth is perfect and it's always going to be perfect except for man, and man is so shitty he fucked it up.
Yeah.
And right now he's the number one cause, and likely pretty much almost exclusively, right? We don't even give a fuck about other animals unless they're animals that we eat, and then it's still our fault. And so we just have to stop living the lifestyle that we live and pay more
That's true.
taxes and give up more quality of life. And that's what's going to stop climate change. You must see how that's fucking bullshit, right? Like, even if humans are the primary cause of climate change, you must see how that's a bullshit political narrative. And that's why people are so against it and so open to like all of the other myriad of obvious causes.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the priest class from like ancient civilizations. They had the hidden. They knew the astrological knowledge. They knew that the eclipse would be 3 weeks from now, and they used that knowledge to manipulate their people. I think that's exactly what's going on here. They're using knowledge of these cycles that are easy, that are apparent if you look at those graphs and shit, or at least it seems that like it.
All right, so here, where should I throw a link in back chat or
And they
or
got you.
um or YouTube chat?
Okay.
Or which one is better? Sorry, I feel like you can't use one because of the phone thing, or one is easier or something.
No, I'm not on my phone.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm just using it for a cam.
Oh, gotcha. Or I guess like, or uh, which chat do you want it in?
You can throw it in Discord. You can throw it where you usually throw it, which is usually go into private chat, don't you?
Okay, for sure. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not super familiar with this paper, but we can read it together if you're open to it. But it's volcanic versus anthropogenic carbon dioxide. Or it's like 3 pages long. It's kind of dense.
God damn, breaking out the hardcore shit.
Yeah.
7 hours into stream.
Listen, this is how we.
All right, I'll give it a shot, but I ain't gonna say I'm up to the challenge.
For sure. Listen, I'll help read if you
Volcanic
want.
versus anthropogenic carbon dioxide. Which emits more carbon dioxide? Earth's volcanoes on human activities. Research findings indicate unequivocally the answer for this freely asked question is human activities. However, most people, including some earth scientists working in fields outside volcanology, are surprised by this answer. The climate change debate has revived and reinforced the belief, widespread among climate skeptics, that volcanoes emit more CO2 than human activities. In fact, present day volcanoes emit relatively modest amounts, that's present day, CO2, about as much annually as states like Florida, Michigan, and Ohio. Yeah, I'm definitely not trying to claim it's a constant thing. You know, it's part of how I think when it's moving through the solar systems, moving through the galaxy, it enters different pockets of gas and just different atmosphere. Shit gets fed into the sun system, then gets fed back to Earth, which drives the weather. Seems to be what the newest scientific data showing. If you look at their new instruments that can measure electromagnetism and shit that they just didn't have when all this fucking global warming CO2 driving the weather. I'm not saying that the fucking greenhouse gas effect doesn't exist, but I think you got to get way far along for that shit to happen. But we still got a long ways to go to where it's just healthy plant food. You know, we can still have a lot more CO2 in the air, from my understanding.
But that's okay. So here's like a maybe like a misconception. So like at there's a lot of people who to try to uh sink carbon into stuff. They're like, let's plant more trees, right? Because they just like turn it into that. But yeah, in reality, like trees can be a carbon sink, but they live for like a few decades and then they die, and then they release all that CO2 like back into the atmosphere. Like it's a it's like a very temporary like storage thing. But like like yeah, like plants use it, but like they maintain like the tree holds it while it's alive and doing shit. But like once it dies, like it didn't use up a bunch of CO2. Like you can't just like plant trees and murder them and then like keep doing that cycle to suck all the carbon out and turn it into something useful. Um, but yeah, like we've been burning a lot
Well,
of
yeah, that's true, but that CO2 that's being released was already here as well. You got to take that same analogy
well,
that it
sure,
existed in the coal and the oil that was already present in the earth. We're not
yeah,
adding anything to the system, it's just getting
well,
rearranged.
yeah, sure. And like you know that stuff was like underground and probably wasn't gonna slowly burn itself out over time. Like it wasn't like
What do
yeah
you mean
it.
slowly burn itself out?
I mean, coal. Do you know where coal is, or like oil? It's like buried underground. Like it's not like a super high risk for like catching fire or getting dumped in the ocean or whatever. Like like we have artificially impacted
Well, it has to
the
be.
natural cycle of the earth.
Yeah, but I don't see how it's relevant. I mean, it's still part of the system. It's
What do you mean? So
just
like
changing form and location. It's still,
well sure.
part of the total.
So if I put you in a room and I replaced all of the like oxygen with carbon dioxide, it was like yeah, it's the same system. It's just like rearranged and kind of different.
Well,
Like
that's not the system rearranged, kind of different. But
I mean yeah, it is.
I don't
Like
know.
you're
I'd
taking all
have to
the
think about
liquid
that a little more.
you're taking all the solid coal, like you're squishing it into a juice and like setting it on fire to turn it into a gas. Like yeah, I mean if I'm just like swapping a little bit of elements out,
Yeah, all right. I can't argue that really. I have to think about
I
that. I
think
mean, it
the
does
point
change
is
it,
that
but
you're taking all the carbon from underground and putting it in the atmosphere. That's
right.
yeah. So like I mean
and you're
okay,
doing it
so
at a
You're
rate in which it's
displacing it.
for
accelerating.
sure. So like maybe I can meet you in the middle here and say that like the planet will be fine. Like I
Oh
super
yeah, definitely.
or, yeah.
Yeah, we're
Humans
talking
might
about
all be
humanity's.
fucked.
We're talking about
Yeah, for sure.
humanity's future.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay, so now this is I recall this line of thinking when I forked in the road myself. So what's the question then? Why would humans be fucked?
I mean, it's gonna
That's what I'm asking.
the,
How much hotter is it going to get?
Would your list be 100 things, 1,000 things, 15 things, 5 things, top 3? Could you have a top 3 to kind of put it into perspective, or would you need more than that? Is it too immense to have like a top 3 kind of bullet points?
or what, like, are you asking for ways that humanity like will be fucked?
Yes.
Oh, for sure. So like it won't be like it's not gonna be that like catastrophic day after tomorrow shit that they like that make in Hollywood because it's sensationalized. But like yeah, I mean you're gonna see like some like hard shifts where like deserts are gonna get worse. Like land that was arable will not be arable. There'll be like an increasing amount of natural disasters and like an increasing in intensity. So yeah, like yeah, I know you previously offered the solution of like well everyone could just move inward a little bit. And it's like well you know, like people are moving to Florida like a motherfucker. But yeah, I mean,
Where are the elites buying property?
I agree with everything you just said, though. I expect that to happen.
for sure, yeah. I mean, like, and yeah, I guess so. If we
But I
do
expect
nothing
us to
to
be
mitigate
okay
it,
after that.
for sure, yeah, and I mean, like, like again, it probably won't be, super catastrophic if we're somewhat mindful. But like, you know, also if we just like, act like it's not a big deal at all, that like we're only doing like 7 or 8%, and we can just like keep on keeping on.
I don't think it's not a big deal at all, but I think the far bigger problem is litter, little plastic particles and shit. I think that far outweighs this climate change bullshit. It's getting clogged up inside
Yeah.
Austin.
Well, here's the thing. The climate change problem could be
Microplastics.
it could be over time the worst thing. It could wipe us all out potentially at some point. The plastics are literally killing us right now while we're talking about
Yeah,
this shit.
that's what I'm saying. That's the more pertinent issue right now. We can deal with this climate change. We're going to as technology progresses. I mean, we'll eventually learn to harness the full power of the sun and just run everything.
Again, if people really cared about the planet and about humans, that would be a much more. It'd be prioritized at least.
Right. Well, that's the problem,
I mean,
right? With this
yeah.
is like how like it's so much an externality where like the decisions that we're making now like aren't going to really impact us. They're going to impact like 2 generations from now, like 70 years from now. Because like it takes time for the like stuff to like
Yeah.
happen and actually produce an effect. So like you're free to just like not care and just act like
I've been
nothing's
hearing
wrong
that
and,
shit since
and don't
like
matter.
1980s, 1980. Like they kind of sound like those doomsday churches when they say the
Yeah,
world's
that's
going
the
to
other thing.
end. And I've heard them say that the world's going to end. They've made like 4 or 5 predictions on when climate change is going to end humanity. It's fucking hilarious.
That's
It's
the
just
other
like
thing
those
too.
church. Go ahead.
When you get closer to 50, I've heard the climate has already burned us all up and frozen us all, and we've already starved 3 times in my lifetime.
Exactly.
It's already been predicted by the smartest people who know way more than I do, and I'm just some stupid rube who doesn't understand science. And they got it wrong every single time. None
Well,
of their predictions come
well,
true.
no, the problem there was that some rube who didn't understand science like was trying to like fearmonger climate change bullshit at you.
Well, I mean that Rube had all the PhDs and was the one who did the study. So
That's
I don't,
you know what? There's unfortunately there's stupid people everywhere. But yeah, I
And they're
mean,
the ones
even
that,
in science.
and they get
yeah,
funded by
correct.
these guys who have
Yeah,
it.
and get paid to say it's the end of the world and the world is nigh.
They're
Well,
using
yeah, I
this to
mean, 'cause there's
control the
yeah,
population through taxes.
And the
This one
migration's
issue
already
lets them.
started.
This one issue lets them control so many areas because they say it's a health issue.
But again, plastics are not a health issue.
Right.
I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
that
think
don't
any
matter.
respectable science is saying that.
I mean, they could easily make shit to help that pretty quick too. They could use hemp plastic, which is like biodegradable in 3 months.
I'm pretty sure the
I think it
WHO
is.
in the past like 10 years has officially declared that like there is no safe rainwater. There's there's contaminated rainwater across the entire Earth. Antarctica was the last holdout, but now the not PUFAs, PFAS, but yeah, like the
The
level.
pharmaceuticals in our water too are doing way more heinous shit to us than climate change.
I mean, I feel like chicken tenders and Cheesecake Factory is doing way worse damage to humans,
Word.
like per capita,
Word.
than
Word.
climate change or any of that
I'm
stuff.
I'm saying you want me to take it seriously and be like deathly afraid. I'm saying this is my point, Jack.
No, I don't want
There's
you to be
way
like.
worse things to be way more afraid of.
Well, yeah, but I
climate
mean, like,
change is not as much of a priority as people try to make it out to be.
Not even close.
They don't even care, Jack. They don't care about you or your health or what's going to happen to the planet. These people don't give a fuck. It's all just bullshit. If they did, they would ... all the things you yourself, because you're an intelligent person, just came up with off the top of your fucking head. You're not even. This is another Tuesday for you. You weren't even getting paid for this, and you're better at it than they are.
well, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm on the internet
But
for.
once they get on the payroll, you're gonna say whatever they want you to say.
Listen, I'm still waiting for my Soros check. Okay, I've been fighting with trans rights for so long. I've had to argue with so many of the worst people. You don't
Were you
sorry.
born female?
No.
Oh, okay.
I mean, maybe kind of. I don't know. I'm definitely like that Metro vibe. I like my nails painted and to wear skinny jeans and like, before it was cool. Or Lil Wayne put them on.
Were you serious about that shit you said the other day about sucking a dick just to see if you were gay?
I mean,
Or were
listen,
you just fucking trolling Mike?
listen.
Because I can't tell, man. I'm not sure. I'm like
you
50-50 on that.
It
shit.
is. I reject anyone who says that they don't like something that they haven't tried. Like
Okay.
90% of that like can be attributed to the fact that you haven't tried it. Like,
I don't think that means you have to try it to verify.
I mean,
on
I don't think
something.
you always
I've-
have to do
I-
that, but I think it's
I've never
really
ate
funny.
shit. I don't think I would like to taste the shit.
Okay, well, listen. Did you know that one of the biggest constituents
I'm not
of
gonna
human
take it-
fecal matter is butyrate? It's a short-chain fatty acid
I
that has
like
been
it.
shown to reduce oxidative stress. It has been shown to burn higher levels of fat, to increase insulin resistance.
Remember what I told you what could happen if you're really smart, Kane, the other day about being even better at pushing bullshit that is completely and scientifically untrue the smarter
Yeah.
you are?
No, all of this
He's
is
over
true.
there-
I can
yeah,
show
he's over
you
there huffing
a
on
dozen.
Jankum and
No,
shit.
those were definitely facts, Jack, for sure.
Yeah.
He's
However,
got some
eating
Jankum in
shit
the
is going to
corner.
be really bad for you. I guarantee it.
Well, no, it won't be bad. I mean, it's not that it will be bad for you. It's just that you would have to eat about like 30 to 40 pounds a day in order to see any beneficial effect from the butyrate and
And
Are
your
you
by
own
that
shit.
talking
point,
like human feces or something like a cow?
No,
that's
human
been
shit.
eating-
Human
eat-
shit is
eating
in
only
particular.
grass.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about human shit. Okay.
Yeah. Eating your own shit to burn fat,
That's foul
It's
as
like the
hell.
human centipede, but like, you just keep running on the same. I mean, hey, listen, some people eat McDonald's
I'm not
2.5
gonna
times a
turd
day,
on that.
okay? So, what's the difference?
I mean, there's some things in this life I just don't need to know. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, some of them, and maybe sucking a dick is one of those, but maybe it's not. Maybe
How is
you're
it
the
something
world's
I
most
would
deeply.
need to find out about it.
I mean, you
if I
might
have
be the
zero
world's
interest in
most
it?
closeted gay man, and we'll never know.
Okay. I was just, well, what were we even talking about before I asked that? I kind of derailed the whole fucking
Oh yeah,
conversation.
no, for sure.
I think it was climate change.
Yeah. Anthropogenic.
What graph are we looking at here?
Anthropogenic
Anthropogenic.
CO2 multiplier. I'm not quite sure what that metric is. I think it's like the multiplier on how much CO2 is in the atmosphere compared to like natural. I mean, like, the stuff that humans or the CO2 that humans created versus nature. Like what multiply, like humans created this much. But I don't know. I actually
What's this fucking graph here?
making all that up.
Anthropogenic CO2 multiplier.
What are the black dots?
So that's
Solid dots show a time series of the anthropogenic carbon dioxide multiplier. Oh, this
Calculated
is-
from time series data on anthropogenic CO2 emissions rates.
and Marty and Stickins
0.26 gigaton per year preferred global volcanic. 2.26 gigatons.
yeah. Do you know how much America puts
How
out
much is
per
a
year?
fucking
Yeah, so that description read like a bunch of self-sourcing bullshit to me. I don't know.
I mean, it's
Anybody else?
sourcing Marty and Tolskien's.
I wasn't.
So a gigaton is a billion metric tons.
Yeah, like like a megabyte, a gigabyte.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So like this is like a gigaton. So you have
Just making sure.
a megaton. But yeah, so in 2013, the U.S. put out 5 gigatons that year. You know what? I'll track down this Marty and Tolkien.
Where's it at? Is it on this graph?
What are you looking for? Sorry.
Is it on this graph?
Oh, I thought that's what you're fucking talking about.
Or what? Oh, or no.
Yeah, I don't.
This study
I
is
can't
from
understand what that graph
2011.
is from the description.
Sorry, I was looking at the volcano study.
Yeah, I'm way too fucking high to fuck with this right now.
All right, here. Listen, you're just gonna call this.
I don't think it would make more sense to me if I wasn't.
I mean, I would have to study that shit alone, sitting down where I can look up references and shit for the stuff I don't understand.
Listen, this is a cuter table, which uses the same number, but whatever. If you wanna, I also have the number where they got it from the volcano, but yeah, like at best, volcanoes are putting out like a quarter of a gigaton
Jack,
per year.
Amanda's flirting with you.
Oh. Dude.
Yeah, again, the claim is that modern humans have already put more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere than volcanic history.
That's fucking preposterous. It's absurd, in my opinion.
Why?
Well, that data bears it out. That's what that data says.
I haven't seen the data yet. It's what, some fucking graph?
It claimed that it was like 10, 50. The claim is that the United States puts out 50 times more CO2 than a volcanic eruption. Well, all the volcanic eruptions in modern times.
How are they? I need to see where they gathered the data for how they accumulated the output of all the volcanoes.
Okay. So whatever. I put in a USGS.gov site, which is propaganda, obviously, because it's .gov. This is the study where that link did not work.
Which one you want me to look at? Goddamn,
you're
gish galloping me with studies now.
No.
Like
these are all
whatever studies.
No, whatever. The newest one is the CO2 from oceanic volcanoes and how they estimated that. It is from 1998. So whatever. That one is just as I don't know. They're measuring the the flux being 2.5 times 10 to the 12th moles per A. I don't even know what the fuck per A is. I'm not a oceanographer. Sorry, I'm but yeah, whatever. This is a study for how they estimated you're on the .gov thing. Whatever. If you scroll down from there, there's a table using the 0.25 number, and like shows like all the sources for. But yeah, that's in gigatons per year, just various sources of stuff. So yeah, humans doing not quite 100 times, but or no, over 100 times what volcanoes are doing.
I mean, what's the range of the output of the volcanoes? When are they measuring? What's the time period they measured from? The starting point and end point.
The same time period.
Yeah.
I mean, just because volcanoes aren't doing dick right now, don't mean since the fucking dawn of time they haven't been going crazy, or just since we've been here for the last, breathing oxygen, as an organism, able to exist in this atmosphere, that the volcanoes haven't changed and put out a fuck ton. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, because we know how much CO2 a human puts out.
Yeah, right now, volcanoes are quiet as fuck. Volcanoes never go off. Sometimes they get fucking crazy and just pop, spew out fucking
and so
fucking gigatons.
So again, because the Earth is perfect,
Alright.
and is naturally, cyclical, as you people like to say. Volcanoes also launch a good amount of it's called sulfuric dioxide into the atmosphere. This is also known as sulfuric acid. But yeah, so that when it is aerosolized into the atmosphere, it actually reflects some of the sun's rays. So when it spits out a bunch of CO2, it generally compensates for it in like in a ratio or whatever. Like there's a natural amount of the stuff in volcanoes that have a protective effect against the amount of CO2 released.
I think the only way that would become relevant is if increased human activity correlated with decreased volcanic activity. And you could see how one could be the cause for the other. And then there could be kind of like an overlap of rise in CO2 that would make that man-made climate change ultimately moot and irrelevant over time. But otherwise, I think the point is that if volcanic right now man is beating volcanoes, and right now we have an increased greenhouse effect. That's the claim, right? That's what you have to dispute. And so given the data that's available, it does and reinforce the idea that man versus volcano loses. Joe versus the volcano, Joe wins.
What's Eyes Wide Shut talking about? Something about the creation of the microscope and the fucked up story surrounding that.
Big
You
and
talking
bad.
about?
Global warming. Whatever. I live in the Midwest. I want it to be warmer. Fuck 'em. Based.
Into the creation of the microscope?
Global warming would be dope for like land in Canada.
Right. Also, your mom. So they're able to decipher the difference between human produced versus natural rates because, like, we can guesstimate how many volcanoes there are, and like even if we take the high end of that and then compare that to the amount of like gas and coal and like like other stuff that we're producing, because we've gotten pretty good at measuring that, and like like we like regulate that now and like generally try to make you measure how much of that you're putting out and set some reasonable caps on it. And so yeah, I mean, like again, like it's just a chemical equation. If you just take like the amount of petroleum burned per year by like the average person, like in America, times 330 million or whatever, how many cars there are driving, and you can get a rough estimate of how much gas we're burning a day, and compare that to even if there's a bajillion.
It does seem a bit presumptuous to me, actually, that you can reduce the climate's complexity to that kind of equation.
Well, no. We're not reducing the whole climate to that equation, but we're calculating how much CO2 that humans produce, and like yeah, that's just like a simple a combustion
based
equation.
upon how much CO2 is in the atmosphere.
Well,
So
I mean, we can measure how much CO2 we're putting out, right?
I don't think so, not accurately.
Well, I mean, like we can at least guesstimate like how much, like just from like gas sales, right?
Sure.
Guesstimate like just
and I'm
from
all for guesstimating.
For sure.
I'm not against it.
For sure.
I'm just against like when we get the guesstimate, we're like, all of the possibilities are fucking retarded and stupid Republican nonsense.
Right.
That's what I'm against.
But
right?
say we could compile like like amount of gas sold across the entire world for like a year, and then like we use that to calculate how much CO2 would that be if we burned all of that gas, if all that gas that we sold got used. Would that be like a would you accept that number as like pretty reasonable?
No. I'd say it's great for your guesstimation, and it also gets you no closer to your overall calculation. But I'm ready for the plus and the minus and the equal sign. Just for the lulz, though, because at the end of the day, we both know you're guesstimating. Now, some scientists will go on TV, and some politicians and some people, talking heads on MSNBC, will talk to you like it's the end of the world and you're a fucking retard if you don't stop driving your car tomorrow or you
Better
vote
back.
for a Republican. But I think those people are a mishmash of retards, assholes, liars, and con artists.
Sure. How does one put a link to a source in like an article and then that article just be gone?
What they got removed already?
No, I mean whatever. It's from a 7-year-old emissions data. Whatever. Listen, I'm gonna find the source, but yeah. So like the worldwide road transportation estimate of gigatons per year produced in 2015 was 5.8.
Yeah, I was curious about that. Like, why was that separate from fuel consumption?
I think the fuel combustion is an aggregate, right? Where and then it's broken down like from there as just from burning fuel, like yeah. So like
Okay.
this is the total amount from all the gas and all the diesel and all the coal and all the natural gas. But yeah, just like for all the stuff that we're burning, which is like a combustion reaction makes takes fuel and heat and turns it into fuel and oxygen. You add heat and then it turns it into water and CO2. So that's why
driving cars isn't really even our most egregious sin. It must be like what, like heating our homes that they would need us to stop doing.
No, I mean,
what is that?
We just need to find
it was like 5 and 35, right? So it was like 6 times more than cars.
Right. I mean, that's I mean, I feel like your heating uses like electricity most of the time, unless you're like burning like a wood
Well,
stove.
that requires burning coal to get the electricity.
Yeah. I mean, so they have. I mean, the coal number for the power stations is also on there. It's like 0.22, so it's about as much as the and that's also 2% of the world's generating capacity from coal-fired power stations. So you can actually get up to 50 times that number if you actually turn it on like full gas. But yeah, so heating is a
What I miss?
Yeah.
I was just talking about how it seems like even driving cars isn't the biggest problem, and I was wondering what it is. Maybe heating our homes. I don't know. I was wondering what that, because it's like only 1/6 of that total output was all of the roadside stuff all around all the road travel, and I assume around the entire planet, or maybe just the United States.
That's the worldwide road transportation in 2015. Yeah, the United States.
So that's not even doing anything. Burning gas in our cars isn't the problem. It's all the coal and natural gas we burn for our electricity, I presume.
I mean, it's like 20%.
I really don't know.
Like just shy of 20%. So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. 1/5.
Yeah, about. Which whatever.
So if we cut that, it wouldn't. Yeah, it would not. Like if we just stopped driving cars, period, it wouldn't get us there.
Right. Well, no. So that's the thing. Is like the issue. I mean, the issue is definitely being driven by how much we're putting out each year. But like the bigger issue is just how much is already out there now. So like even if we turned off all of the coal-fired power stations, we stopped driving tomorrow, we would still, there would still be some pretty dramatic effects. Like not again, not catastrophic at all, and significantly less.
Okay, so you're saying the problem is we're not adding anything to the system. We're just changing the form.
No, the problem is, I mean, we're dumping shit into the system like crazy.
We're taking it out of the ground from its oil form, putting it into the air. So all you gotta do is put it back into some kind of solid form. All you gotta do is start building carbon sinks.
Yes. Yeah. Great idea. Do you know how energy intensive that is? like you need about like I
You
want to
know what the
say
human
like
race will do to survive?
I so I mean sure if we can come up with like a magical power source, but like
You
again
saying
you're
we can't
just like
pay to do this shit?
no, I mean again like we're talking about like
I
like a
mean,
3 to
we can
10
build the facilities.
like about
Yeah.
3 to
I mean,
10 times
carbon
as
seems
much
to be
energy
something
to
simple.
turn carbon dioxide into solid as it took to put it into a gas. So yes, like
I
yeah,
don't
we
know.
can do
I
that
mean,
if we can find a new magical energy source.
no, it's not about the energy source. I've been reading. I'm talking about just a way to store the
Yeah, carbon
Yeah,
carbon
just
sequestration.
that's in the
Yes.
air.
Yes. And
Yeah,
how many
yeah.
like kilojoules of energy does it take compared to like how much energy we got burning
I
it?
don't know, but it's probably not anything crazy.
It is
And
something
there's
crazy.
natural methods, plant more trees and shit.
Yeah, but then the trees die and they let the carbon
Those are,
dioxide out.
and you plant new trees. I mean, you don't
Okay.
have to burn the wood, dude. You
Yeah,
can
it's not
use the
about
wood.
burning
You
the
can cut the
wood.
tree
It's
down.
not about burning
Well,
the wood. It's the tree like
what happens to the
decomposing.
carbon dioxide? It stays trapped in the tree.
Yeah.
I mean, just because the tree dies, don't mean the carbon dioxide magically is released into the air.
Not
What
all
do
at
you mean?
once, no, but it is slowly magically, dissolved into the air as it decomposes.
slowly. That's
Yeah,
the
very
whole
slowly.
argument is
Sure.
that
Okay.
humans do this
So
shit too quickly.
we plant a bunch of trees, and now those
Because
trees
it's
died, and
still
now
a
we need to
net
plant more
sum.
trees.
We're not
So like,
creating more CO2, right?
well, yes, we
We
are.
already established that. Well, no, we can't. Humans
Oh.
can't create CO2.
What?
We're just moving it from oil into the atmosphere. So if we moved it from oil into trees, into the ground, and then into the atmosphere, that would slow down the process.
Yeah.
Which
The
is
problem
the
is
point.
when you plant trees, it doesn't like go back into the ground.
Morning, Shameless. We're still at it. Debating
No,
climate change up in here.
the trees use the carbon.
Oh.
Yeah, but they like again they store some of the CO2. Like they're
It's
like a nice
almost
like a
like
cute little battery.
against-
Some of
It's-
right, just like the oil does and the coal does.
Yeah, kind of sort of, but like it's not under the ground and like gonna stay there for a bajillion years until some like asshole apes in pants
Well, you
dig it
don't
up
want it
and
to
set it
stay
on
there
fire.
anyway. All kinds of shit
Well,
is
no,
pushed up
that's
to the
the
surface of the earth all the time. I mean,
you
there's
know
all
the
kinds of
volcanoes. Yeah, the volcanoes and stuff do it. The trees do it.
yeah.
The
And
We're
there-
talking
and
about
there's-
the
okay,
human part. That's the problem.
okay, so
right?
we're talking
Don't
about
rem-
like
it's a net.
trees have like caused like oil reserves to set fire. Like that's a thing that's happened very frequently in the history of Earth. Because that sounds
Lovely.
like
No,
Welcome to
no.
the
The
show.
Earth is constantly taking its CO2 from underground and throwing it up into the
Get a
atmosphere,
good night's sleep, I hope.
whether humans are here or not.
yeah, but generally, naturally, there's some sort of protective effect associated with it. Like in volcanoes, it's the sulfur dioxide that's aerosolized that reflects a lot of the sun's rays and then comes down as acid rain.
Well, there you go. We just need to pump more sulfuric acid in the atmosphere. Problem solved.
That is unironically probably like the best case solution. Um, that's like the like most of the research is pointing towards that as like the most viable next step. But also somehow having to sell everyone on planet Earth the idea of like just like a little bit of acid rain will be fine though.
Trapping
what'd you-
carbon in soil. That's
What'd
going
you
to be
say?
the cheapest.
What'd you say that process was called, Jack?
SEQUEST or sorry. SEQUESTRATION. And then carbon. And yeah, like I would specifically encourage you to look into the energy requirements for it, like compared to like how much energy we get out of oil. Because like again, it's like a 10-to-1.
Sequestration is the context of the carbon cycle, refers to the process of capturing and storing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, essentially removing the active carbon cycle, stored in a long-term sink, the forest, soil, or deep underground rock formations, thus mitigating climate change and reducing atmospheric CO2 levels. I mean, that don't sound like that's like some huge energy intensive, like you want to require, what'd you say, gigajoules of power to be able to capture the I mean, all we got to do is, start building more of this type of shit, instead of.
Sure. Okay. So can you look up like some of the technologies and some of their energy requirements? I mean, Thunderfoot has a great video about this. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, yeah.
If
So
you
like
trust him,
energy requirements
yeah.
to achieve. Achieving carbon sequestration through carbon capture and storage, CCS, requires a significant amount of energy, typically consuming between 25 to 40% of a power plant's energy production. So, I mean, that sounds totally fucking doable to save the human race. I mean, the fuck? 25 to 40% of a power plant. So we just got to build twice as many power plants. That don't sound like, I don't know. That's why we need to move
Impossible.
towards new. That's
Like the amount of energy we need for the warp drive.
Okay. So like what I
Yeah,
wanna
right.
what I wanna see is like again
Like
like
we
like
need
the
some
cost of
fucking
burning like a coal fired power plant. Like how much CO2 are you putting out versus like how much power is being produced and
that's why we need to move to nuclear. I
uh
mean, they've already found a way to where they're doing a similar thing with the waste when there is now. I think now that you're using radium isotopes and shit like that, there's hardly any waste, but they've found some kind of way. From what I remember reading about it, was that it kind of turns it into an aerosol type of thing, and it can be sprayed onto like a porous type of surface, like a wood or something, and then stored above ground. And it's just in a fucking shed. It's no problem. It's not going to react to anything. It's not killing anybody that walks by it. It's safe. I can't remember. It's been a while since I met her. But I mean, this is totally doable. I don't. Should we at least try this shit before we rearrange civilization?
I mean, again, like if you're capturing as much CO2 as you're producing or like more, like sure, like yeah, that'd be a good idea, but like that would be the number that I would have to like see to have a strong stance on that, if that makes sense.
I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
I mean, like
What do you
I
think,
don't know.
Dennison?
Feel like you're just kind of appealing to scientism, where it's like science will figure it out. You know, we're good at this shit, and like sure, like yeah, someone else will figure out a way to do it. But like that's the whole point that I'm trying to make is that like yeah, like as it stands, here are the barriers to that. But like yeah, maybe someone smarter than us will figure out hopefully, or maybe they won't, and then we'll all fucking die.
I think this is one of many potential problems that we face, and most, like 99% of the conversation around it is political bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
And
sure, on both
and
sides. Yeah, absolutely.
if
There's some people politically
That's
invested
that's fine. I
in
don't
fear
deny that.
mongering, and some other people politically invested in denying the whole thing, and both of them are equally stupid.
I don't care about either side. I'm a registered independent.
again, if we took this seriously, there's solutions, there's things to be tried. It's literally not the end of the world. And at the same time, I do notice that humans usually don't take things seriously until the last minute, but then we come together when it matters and do the least amount required in order to avoid complete annihilation, and then go right back to fucking off and polluting shit again.
Yeah, the problem is the people who are most likely to do nuclear don't want it anywhere fucking near
What's
them.
the safest nuclear? I think they're using like a radium isotope, if I remember. It's been a while since I read it.
I mean, they're very safe.
Safest. Fuck.
Well, that would be the thorium. Probably would be a thorium salt reactor is probably the safest.
Thorium.
Because the
Yeah.
worst thing that happened is it just melts into the ground.
And then there's no radiation if it comes in contact with water or anything.
I think thorium has a different half-life, if I recall. I can't remember exactly. And also the salt reactor is safer.
Yeah, it's probably thorium. That's what it looks like. Thorium's long-term potential. International Atomic Energy Agency. China announced in 2021. China announced the completion of the first experimental thorium-based nuclear reactor built in the middle of the Gobi Desert.
Oh yeah, and there's way more thorium.
Potentiality of capable of generating electricity for more than 100,000 homes. So one reactor can do 100,000 homes.
One experimental reactor, if we
Right. In
we could
theory.
make some.
Should
Yeah,
get
we
it
should.
down.
We could make some big. We could make some big ones. Get better at
I
it.
want an article on how safe. Okay, let's check into thorium. How safe is thorium as nuclear power source? Says they're less likely to have a nuclear meltdown, but it sounds like it's still possible. But I'm more interested into the side effects. I just think it seems like the disastrous side effects of a meltdown just seem to be overblown every time it's happened. I mean, there's been deaths, yeah, but I mean, what's Fukushima like now? They had a huge meltdown there. Are people still living there and shit?
I'd argue we really don't know how bad it is, because like people are expected to be sick.
I mean, I'm sure I think a while back I was looking into cancer rates among the people that live there and shit, and they're definitely on the rise. I mean, they were
Right.
definitely higher compared to before.
Right. And then I think if, some of that water ends up somewhere else where they're not even looking, it would go completely unnoticed.
But however often it happens, which isn't very often, but all this climate change shit hysteria would vanish in the blink of an eye. We could pretty much do away with coal and shit. We just switch straight over to thorium tomorrow. We could just send out the way they use the government to push electric through incentives and shit like that, and laws and crap. They could push thorium reactors, and this could be done within 10, 15 years.
Yeah, it would be about 80% according to their estimates. We would still be driving cars. But yeah, it's a significant number. Over 80% of the CO2 emissions could be eliminated within the next 50 years, practically and realistically. It could be done a lot sooner. But I'm just saying, even given for reality and how things never run perfectly, 50 years is a conservative estimate.
I mean, Shameless does have a point that there's a rise in cancer, but I don't know if it necessarily correlates to, fossil fuels or CO2 in the air.
And we can't know. It could be because of Fukushima. Here's what it is, though.
Oh, definitely. Oh,
what
yeah,
you
is that
can
what you're talking about? Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yep.
The thing is though, that we can say though is that as even if we don't know how dangerous nuclear is, it's very, very, very unlikely to be more dangerous than all the other forms that we're currently using. Because we're
Eh,
definitely poisoning ourselves with that stuff, and also just the accidents alone
definitely its
kill.
food system.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I mean, I think nuclear bomb testing was like the worst of it, because I know they were doing a lot of studies to like track like how old each of the cells in your body was, because they knew like they had a measure of how much like extra carbon your whatever some I forgot the exact isotope. Okay, but like they were able to tell like how fast your like liver cells replace themselves versus like your kidneys versus your skin. I thought was pretty cool. Uh, and yeah, like that the window for that closed because like the impact of the nuclear testing on the atmosphere like kind of like wore itself out. Uh, yeah, random fun fact for you.
Because of what? Because the
Because of the nuclear testing in the air, like there was some like radioactive isotope that was had just been introduced into the like onto the earth, and then like as people like consume food uh and stuff like they could track like an increased um like
Morning, Mr. Leggy.
Good morning, fellas. Good morning.
Jesus, are you
Good morning.
driving?
How's it going?
I am. I'm going to sit to watch the sunrise because I got nothing else to do with my life right now.
But yeah, because of the nuclear
that's
testing, they were able
beautiful.
to like to tag isotopes in different parts of the body, and they could see like how many like how quickly those cells turned over. So like it varies pretty widely. Like for some types of cells, it's like 10 years. For others, it's like like 1 or 2 or 3. But yeah, like on average, most people have a brand new body every like 8 years overall.
Yeah,
And that's
every cell is
that's
replaced about every 7 years. I heard. But
yeah, that's been the long-standing claim. And of
yeah,
course, that's
true.
while under, while being radioactive. With
My
fingers
question is,
crossed that measuring it didn't affect the length.
I mean, they're just like measuring, or they're just capturing the radiation. They're not introducing it; like it's already there. So they're just
Right, but if the radiation had never been introduced, then
oh,
what?
listen, blame France, okay? You know how much fucking how many bombs they blew over the fucking Pacific or the Atlantic, whatever fucking ocean is protecting my country.
I'm cool with blaming the French for everything.
Same. They were the worst contributors to chattel slavery, and they tested the most. They detonated the most amount of nuclear material, like over like in open air, than
I mean, the
like
food
any other
system, like
country.
Fuck
like
you,
Seamus
France.
said, could be a huge, another large contributor too.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
and the radioactivity doesn't get into the soil and the food. I'm sure it does.
I mean, energy
Yeah,
toxicity
but
is
there's other
like
things.
is the number one thing. Well, heart disease really, but that's all downstream from that.
Yeah,
Well,
see,
you're
that wouldn't
talking about
surprise me. And
nuclear,
go ahead.
the bombs and all that. Where I live, we have a area on the blue, because I live in the blueberry capital of the world area,
Whoa, don't
and
dox yourself, bro.
they used out here. They used to have the bombing range out through here. So you got all these big craters, but it's some of the most fertile ground there is, and it's just weird how it's where they dropped all these fucking bombs. And I can remember in the 80s, my grandfather, he was on the crew that was developing a lot of the shit, taking rocks out of the middle, big rocks and shit, and they found all kinds of undetonated ordnances and shit. Like there's pictures of them lifting out these bombs with excavators and all that. So, and as far as dogs myself, I mean, fuck, I fish and do videos where I fish, so it ain't no secret where I'm from. So, there's only one Jonesport in the whole entire world, so it ain't no secret there.
No, I'm trying to out you or nothing.
You
Kane,
live somewhere where there's no other place on Earth with the same name?
Yeah, dead serious. Look it up.
That's
Just
strange.
type in Jonesport, USA is all you got to do.
oh wow, it's not even
Or
Blueberry Town.
Jonesport, America. That's all you got to do. Yep. I was like, no way when I heard it. And they
Oh,
were
that's a
like,
nice looking area.
It's a fishing
yeah.
and
Mountains,
lobstering
lakes,
town,
man.
yet you call
hey,
yourself the
hey, that's
blueberry
my
capital of the
backyard.
world? What the fuck?
Well, no. Jonesport, the region I live's like Columbia, Cherryfield. It's like where the blueberry grounds are and shit out that way. But like this region in general is like the blueberry capital of the world.
I'm seeing New Jersey, but
Self-proclaimed, I guess. I don't know.
for sure. Well, I
I
see.
don't know. Well, they got high bush berries in Jersey.
Wow, this is kind of just a funny little thing about Jonesport. In 1866, a group of Christian restorationists sailed from Jonesport to Ottoman-occupied Palestine in the hope of preparing the land for the Jews to return, thereby hastening the coming of the Christian Messiah. The main Friendship House, a small wooden clapboard New England-style house built by one of those families, still stands in modern Tel Aviv. Thanks,
Yeah,
Wikipedia.
That's great.
it's quite interesting.
I need to look into
They used
this.
to.
See how this girl Liliana got banned. I don't know what's up with that.
They
I
used
better do it
to.
before I forget. Good.
Be a sardine town long time ago. And then like the modern lobster boat developed in Jonesport. Like they were the first ones to really put any amount of power in a boat.
Fucking first the lobster, blueberry capital. All right, listen, your town can't be everything, okay? Like you have to pick like one thing tops, like maybe
Dude, I'm
like
telling
half
you,
a
dude,
thing.
there's a lot of fucking history.
The blueberry capital of the
Dude,
world
the
and first lobster boat.
in Machias Bay, which is like, dude, listen, Machias Bay, right? Which is only from where I am. If I'm in a boat, it'd probably take me a half hour, 45 minutes to sail up into this bay. That's where the first naval battle of the Revolutionary War took place. Was out in Machias Bay, off the coast of literally it takes me 15 minutes to drive in a car to Machias, and about 20
Okay.
minutes to where that actual battle.
All right, now tell
Dead
me
serious.
what Stephen King book takes place in your town.
Nothing takes place. Well, I think Misery talks about it. I think Perfect Storm might be Beale's Island, which is right beside Jonesport. They talk about Machias in a few of them. Yeah.
That's actually really cute. I actually love Stephen King, like unironically, so I appreciate the rundown.
He's one of the biggest. Push more freaking anti-nuclear propaganda than anybody. Man, he's made his entire career on nuclear fear.
Have you guys ever watched 11? Was it 11? 23,
But I love a couple of
62?
his books, though.
It's by
1123.
yeah. It has
Sounds
James
familiar, but
Franco in it and shit. It's where he goes back. Pretty much, he goes back in time, finds this portal and shit, and it goes back in time. The whole point of it is to try to save Kennedy from getting assassinated.
Oh yeah.
And it's what happens pretty much if Kennedy never got assassinated. The outcome and how the world would have been.
interesting.
Listen, I fell off. All right, I started
Well-
on King way too early, and then got burnt out. I read almost exclusively him for a while.
I always liked Dean Koontz better. Did you ever read any of his shit?
No, not at all. I read. Listen,
No?
okay, I read It for a book report in 6th grade, and I failed that fucking book report because holy shit, they were like, "Who's the main character?" And I'm like, well, there's at least 7 kids, and they're adult and child form. List all of the secondary characters. How about no? what happens right after the climax of of the book? Well, they kill the thing, and then they all like gangbang the teenager who's definitely
Yeah, I
underage
mean,
to get out of
what
the
the hell was
sewer,
that was my thoughts. I was like, what the fuck is
right?
this shit?
Like they had the new movie, and I'm like, are they gonna put that part in it? Because that would be,
Nobody ever mentions that fucking part.
I do all the time, especially in my 7th grade book report. Just maybe why I got an F.
Oh yeah, yeah. They teach you right quick.
Shit, I can't
You can't
remember.
tell the truth and have integrity and shit like that.
I can't remember what fucking movie it was, but I watched it instead of reading the book, and I and I wind up doing my book report over it, and the teacher knew instantly because the fucking movie was so much different than what the book was.
Hmm.
I definitely fucking failed out. That was my freshman year in high school.
Yeah, I listen. There's like 2 movies you can do that with, and one of them is Fight Club. I know that for sure. Probably also American Psycho, but like I don't know. That's selecting for
Can't
something
remember
else
where
entirely.
the fucking band list is.
I could also remember for a punishment one time, my teacher knew I hated the fucking Yankees and Derek Jeter. So I had to do a book report over Derek Jeter's autobiography. Oh my God. Wasn't that a fucking lovely fucking experience?
Did it make you appreciate him?
I mean, you can appreciate somebody that fucking, I mean, Derek Jeter was a great fucking ball player. There's no doubt about it. I mean,
He's from where
was
I
he
live.
overpaid? Probably. A lot of them fucking sports athletes. Is he?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
That's
I
cool.
live in a like the
I don't
local.
remember shit about the book, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know who the fuck he is, but like whatever. Our local high
You
school,
got
like
his autograph too?
no, I mean I haven't met him. His name's on like like the high school like baseball diamond practice thing because he just came to his hometown and threw a bunch of money at like here sports teams build all the shit you want. So yeah, he did a lot of that, which is cool. But yeah, otherwise I don't know anything about him.
See,
Well,
them guys that give back to them communities they come from, that's, I like to see that, but sometimes I feel like it's a way for them to feel good about themselves for the shitty decisions they make in life.
And I cannot remember what this freaking band list is. I thought it was under permissions, but I haven't really had to ban people and shit on YouTube before. Fuck.
Yeah, I don't know. I banned a couple people, but then I don't know how to get into the list to see who's been banned and who hasn't. So
I did it early because I remember Roby, but I can't remember how I did it.
it's like you got to go through your Google account settings and then go to, I think, and then go to the list of.
oh, I got you. Okay,
No,
so
I did it from in YouTube.
go to studio.youtube.com.
Mm-hmm.
In the bottom left corner there is settings above send
Yeah.
feedback, and then on the left there is community.
Permissions.
No, there's
Oh,
community.
community.
Permissions
yeah,
is
there
like
it is.
outside. Yeah, and then
Yeah,
I think
that's
hidden
right.
users is like is that? I don't know. I feel like that's them saying banned users, but I don't know. Is that the right place?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I was looking under permissions. I didn't even notice. I didn't even look at community. I just had that screen up. So fucking high. I didn't read it all. Oh yeah, there she is, Liliana. Is there a way I can tell how and when she got banned? I wonder. Asian.
That's
just
live though.
Yeah. Oh, you can't go back and read it.
I
It don't.
I don't
show?
know if it's recorded.
Okay. There's this thing here. Like some kind of option here. Yeah, moderation activity. I didn't read and see exactly what it says, but I think it shows like a gray box or something. It's like, it's just leaves a little record of what they did. I guess that's what I was saying. I guess I would have to go find that event, but that'd be hard as shit. It ought to be here. Like you ought to be able to click on. So I got that one dude that Jeff was talking about that made that video. Senior Citizen Saw. I already got him banned, or at least one of his accounts. I guess it's a Senior Citizen Saw, but then it's a fucking Gen X something.
Okay, so YouTube does
Fucking
not. I mean,
crazy ass shit.
as of about a year ago, they have not implemented any sort of like moderation history thing.
Okay. Sorry. I'm just gonna take her off the list. She's welcome to come here and bullshit. I don't know how she got on there. I didn't do it. Then I remember. I mean, I might have did it, but it would have been.
Is Jeff a mod
Seems
here?
like it would have been a few weeks ago. But
Is Jeff a mod here? Because that would explain it.
no, Jeff ain't a mod here. No, just Shameless and Kanye. God, I trust their judgment. They seem like super. Do what?
Who's the other mod?
Kane Corso mom. You don't know her?
I think I met her here the other day.
It's good people.
Do they have DID?
Huh?
Do they have DID? Dissociative identity
ID.
disorder. Yeah, yeah. Do they have dissociative identity disorder?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Do they have like multiple personalities?
Who?
Kane Corpse Bomb. You said they're good people.
Oh, what the fuck?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Some point I'm
Wait,
like,
what
is
he
this
talking
worth it?
about,
Is this
bro?
actually worth it? I don't know, but we're
No,
gonna keep
it's
doing
not
it.
worth it. What the fuck, dude?
I mean, it was funny. Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's funny for your fucking clickbait shit or whatever.
Listen, I'm just funny.
Trying to
okay?
make me the butt of your joke, the butt of the joke, Jack.
No, I want you to be in on the joke, or else I look like a dumb fuck. You know how bad it looks when I make a joke and you don't laugh and everyone else does? If ever anyone else does.
Oh, was everybody laughing at that shit?
I don't know.
I didn't even know what you were talking about, dude.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, which comment that I said that you were even talking about?
I thought he was asking if they could have blocked her and not remembered it because they have multiple personalities.
Close.
Oh, okay.
I did not know it was a grammar joke.
Listen.
And Shameless, we're talking about Liliana.
Yeah,
Liliana got banned.
Yeah, she was on the ban list.
I bet Sam did it. She's jealous.
No, it was you, Sam. Nah, it must have been Corso. I'll ask her about it. See if she banned her. Ask her why. I mean, I can kind of see why she came in kind of hot, but give her a chance. She left on friendly terms. I'm not sure what she's about. Seemed to be a few isms dripping around right when she first started, so I don't know. I'm kind of leery. We'll see. Could have been a total misunderstanding.
Could have been. Or there's skits. All right.
Or it could be more beef that's got to be settled now.
Right. I mean, I think women like being called crazy and nuts.
Where's the beef? Where's the beef?
Yeah, where's the white women at?
Oh shit! I guess we got to do something entertaining or some shit, huh? The fuck?
Well, supposedly, hypothetically, in theory, we probably should.
Damn it! I'm like, what is it? 10 hours in? 8 hours in.
Wow.
All male
I'm
panel
like
on
2
abortion
hours out
rights.
of ideas.
You're a fucking
1, 2,
animal.
3, go.
Yeah. So actually, men should be able to talk about that because that's the bodily autonomy argument is the dumbest one.
Yeah, because the state has all types of control over your autonomy.
Not for that reason, but okay. Or not that reason. Not for that reason, in my opinion. I guess.
What's your other reason?
Because you're already conceding that it's a life and you should be able to kill it because, like, the female's rights are more important than the fetuses,
Right.
which we're just granting as a human life and it's getting murdered and it's okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a bad place to start that argument.
Yeah, I agree with that one too. I don't think anybody wants a freaking abortion debate at 6:30 in the morning.
I mean, I don't know. I'm what they call built different.
Let's see what's going on.
Are you gonna play the new
A
Factorio
marketing
DLC?
specialist would say that people don't know what they need or want until you tell them.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I hate marketing people.
Wow, that's rude. Hating
Ah, fuck 'em.
people.
I was raised on Bill Hicks, man. They're evil.
Hating people.
Always trying to sell you something.
Hating people.
That's the only
thinks-
reason they want. That's the only value you have to them.
Hating people means you lose. You lose the whole respect of the whole panel. Okay,
True.
it's the rules.
Shouldn't have said hate, but that is like one of the most despicable jobs in my opinion. I just despise
What do you mean?
advertising.
Trying to figure out like how to give people what they don't know that they want. That's a very admirable job.
It's manipulation.
And
I don't like manipulation
why not?
because it's manipulative.
Oh, is all
It's
manipulation bad?
circular argumentation.
Okay, for sure. I mean, hey, your words.
So you think it's good to manipulate somebody for
Not all
what
the
you
time.
perceive as what's good for them, but in certain cases,
I mean, I don't think manipulation is intrinsically bad.
I think it's better to educate a person the best you can, and then let them make their own choice.
Exactly. It's that old cliche. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Are you dating anyone? Have you ever dated anyone?
Who?
Anyone really?
Me?
I don't care. This works for everyone. So
I was gonna say I'm married, so
for sure. So I don't know. Or well, I guess
Does shacking up count as dating?
sure.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, so if we
I've
think
shacked
about
up before.
for sure. So if we
Yeah,
think
that's the only
about
kind of dating I've ever done.
right, if we think about like like what works for like a woman's self-esteem, maybe about her appearance. Is it better to sit her down and educate her about like actually that mole makes you like at best the 6.5, and like let them make their own decisions from there, or is it probably better to like talk to them about how attractive you think they are?
I mean, I I guess ultimately it's it only matters how attracted you are to the person, I guess.
Well, I mean, well, that's manipulation though. Like you're telling them like how beautiful they are, but it's not actually true, right? Like you just think that it's true, and if you know that and do that, like, aren't you manipulating them?
I mean, I guess if you really think they're ugly and you're lying to them, then yeah. But I mean, ultimately, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So I mean,
Well, I mean, if they ask you, "Does my ass look fat in this dress?" Like, should you be honest with them and educate them? Or
Hell yeah.
should you tell them
Depends
like,
on
uh,
what
"Oh,
kind of
actually, I think,"
depends on what kind of mood they're in.
right? Yeah.
yeah, and it depends on like, I guess how chill your woman is, I guess, and how long you've been together with her. If you've been with her for a while, then sure, tell the fucking truth. But if you're fucking
Yeah,
just
I
been
usually do.
together with her, you might want to lie. Be like, "Now, babe, your ass looks fucking fat, but not fat like you think."
Sure.
Hopefully,
So
it's her ass making the dress look fat.
exactly, exactly.
PHAT, pretty hot and
Uh,
tempting, you know?
That would be a compliment. I'm saying.
Right.
It's like, damn, that's a dress, and you're still filling it out like that.
Right.
right?
But yeah, I mean, if it wasn't at
Oh
like 100%
my
though,
god,
would you like make sure that she knew that like actually,
Becky.
Question. Now, if the woman looks good, do you care? I mean, as long as she's of legal age. So we're gonna clarify there because this
okay,
could get rough.
these right?
Anyway, so does it matter what the woman looks like how old the woman is, as long as she still looks good?
I mean, I feel like
Like
that's
in your mind?
tautologically true. I mean,
I
as
mean,
long as the woman looks good, do you think that she looks good? I mean, I think you kind of you kind of answered that one already in how you asked that. Or I guess,
well, I
or
mean,
maybe I don't understand what you're asking.
like, I guess if a woman's does an age make a woman unfuckable? I guess even if she still looks good to you. Like, say if a woman's like pushing 60, but she still looks fine as hell, because there is women like that out there.
No.
Would that be a no go for you, or would you be like, oh hell yeah?
What kind
Uh,
of
Y-
question
And
is this? Are you
I,
talking about men?
I'm asking you, gentlemen, if it was unless you're gay, then yes, I guess it applies to men. But as far as women are concerned, if you were at a bar and this older woman come up to you, but she still looked good, but you found out she was twice your age, could be your mother, would you still fuck her?
I mean, and she like
Am I
looks really
still a
young,
man
or
in this
like,
scenario?
Well, I mean, I would hope you're still a man. I mean, I hope you're not turning into a tranny.
Then yes, I fuck women that are attractive.
Okay.
I
oh
don't
wait,
Because
oh
even
I
wait,
ask
know
them for
so
some
their
so wait,
dudes.
wait, wait,
conversations
wait.
first either, so I
Because
have
I
no
know
idea
some
how
dudes
old
I
she
was
is.
like, fuck that, man. She's old. I go, but she still looks fine as hell. Why wouldn't you? Like, come the fuck on.
Wait,
I
so
can
like,
remember that all the time when I was in my 20s and shit. Like, I had a buddy, man. For some reason, the older women just fucking flocked to him, and he would never fucking, he wouldn't do it. He goes, man, they could beat my mom. I go, your point's what? They're not, though. Enjoy it.
I mean, are they hot because they look young or hot for their age?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, just hot. They still look good. I mean, like Jennifer Aniston still looks fucking good
Well,
and
like,
she's
okay,
pushing
so
60.
listen, a lot of
Like,
older women look like more attractive to me because they have like mom arms, right? Like they've been carrying a kid for like fucking 8 years, and like they're just like skinny ripped because of that, and maybe they have some wrinkles, and that's fine, but like they're hot for different reasons.
yeah, okay,
But
yeah.
like, yeah, so I mean, like, in that way, like, you mean like hot for her age or like hot because she looks young? Those are
I guess both ways. I mean,
sure.
hot's hot. I mean, long as she looks good, right?
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, yeah, I don't
Says
know.
because it's
Mama.
just like a big girl, right? There's a difference between a big girl and a fat girl. You get my point? A big girl takes care of themselves, is presentable. A fat girl, somebody that wears sweatpants, fucking baggy ass fucking shirt that never fits them, got food stains all over them, the hair's constantly in a mess, they don't shower, they stink. Like, you walk into the bathroom after them and it's like, god damn, like, what the fuck just happened in here? Like them are fat girls, but a big girl said there's somebody that takes care of themselves. They do the makeup, they do their hair, they dress presentable. Like they dress clothes that fit them, that don't make them look like trash. Like you get my point there.
I mean, I feel like you're describing like 70 to 80% of what looking good mean. I mean, like I don't know. I feel like all the negatives you just described could also be applied to like a 16-year-old boy, and like wouldn't really change
Well,
that
yeah.
much.
I
But they're
mean,
getting
yes,
laid
I
like
mean,
crazy, which is weird.
well, that is true. That is true. I mean, you know how many slobs I've seen with fucking fine women. I'm like, why? Why? Like this dude
Right.
either must have a fucking dong down to the fucking ground, or he fucking makes bukus of money and just spoils her. Like makes no sense to me
Or
at
both.
all. Or both, exactly, or both.
Glad we got to bring it back to underage people. Bang.
What? Well, oh yeah, well, yeah, you know, go back 16-year-old, I guess. But I mean, in general, I'm just saying. I mean, it does apply to dudes too. I mean, there's a difference between a big dude and a fucking slob too when it comes to big guys. So
But yeah,
big difference.
there's just different attractiveness curves for the genders sometimes. And like depending on like how mature the dude is too, right? You know, like some like dumb fuck like 20-year-old kid probably can't, appreciate like, skinny ripped shredded mom arms. Like, he just doesn't. He's like, "Oh no, I like all my girls soft and, thinking they're traumatized or whatever." I'm going to get canceled somehow.
Well, well, look, if your
Don't do it.
if your mustache hasn't got you canceled, I don't think anything will, buddy. Nowadays, that was supposed to be a ha-ha joke.
For sure. I mean, it is funny because it is
Uh,
not true.
You know, it's funny. I was watching a clip of you last night going at Cerrone boy. That was fucking hilarious. Him trying to be like Jack. Don't swear, Jack. What?
Right.
Why are you swearing? You sound so unintelligent. I'm thinking, ain't that fucking the kettle calling the pot black? Holy fuck, man! Like, what the fuck is up with this dude?
Right.
Fucking
Absolute
Vince
duckers.
Floyd.
Love that guy. I hope he's
I
I
gotta
hope he's
clip
okay.
this. I'm gonna clip this just for Mike Cerrone. Hold on, let me get some
Yes.
sound over here.
All right. I have to run away in 20 minutes. For a bit at least.
You out? You got to crash?
No. Take a person to
He's
work.
going to party.
No, I have to go take a person to work and then maybe crash. I don't know, or come back and I don't know. We're on a roll.
On a
What's up?
roll,
Thanks
baby.
for stopping by.
We're on a
Appreciate it.
roll.
I'll probably stream for a couple more hours unless I fucking crash out.
Sure.
I still
Well,
got 8.
Well,
Might end up going 12 again. Who knows?
who knows?
Hell yeah. Let me see. I was getting ready to get some sound on this. Yeah, I'm gonna get this just for Mike Cerrone.
why would you do anything
The
to that
kid
guy?
taking some back. I'm with him.
Everything all right, Mr. Chisholm?
Yes, everything's fine. Go on and bring the men in, and we'll have a little fresh coffee with the boys here.
Yoo-hoo! I'll make you famous.
Yeah, that part right there. Just that last part. I'll make you famous.
Make you famous. I'll make you famous.
Is that like
I'll make you famous.
Michael
make
J.
you famous.
Fox or something?
I'll make you famous.
Huh?
Is that Michael J. Fox?
He's just like content, bro. You just
Michael J.
that's
Fox.
Emilio Estevez.
Oh.
It's Charlie Sheen's brother.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Tiger Prince.
Martin Sheen's son.
Martin Sheen's son. Yeah.
That was like unknown for forever. Nobody knew that shit. When
No,
when
I
this
didn't know
happened,
that.
nobody knew that shit. I guess he wanted to go it alone. He's like, I'm gonna make it not without my daddy's name or whatever. I don't know what happened. Or why he didn't use his name. I guess he just has a different name and he was like, I'm not gonna use a stage name. But
Yeah.
I mean, Martin Sheen, is that really Sheen's last name?
I don't know. I don't know for
No,
sure.
it's Estevez.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Charlie
he's the
Sheen
one that
is
changed his
Mexican.
name, and
I can confirm that. That's why he was in a Machete Kills.
yeah, I think he is Latino.
Yeah, like half at least.
Yeah, I probably. Good chance of it.
Reba, am I right?
Reba. Reba McIntyre?
No, Ariba. Am I right?
Oh, Arriba. Arriba la raza! Andale, andale!
But I do like that
Viva
one
la
Reba
Mexico!
song. I do like that Reba song where she's like pimping out her daughter.
Dude, there's a whole fucking slew of songs now that if you really listen to them, there's some fucked up lyrics in them.
So can I
Oh, you
record
don't
this
say.
on OBS
Like,
while I'm streaming? I wonder.
what the fuck's that? She's only 17. If you, it's like a classic rock song. Yeah,
It's the Beatles.
it's just like what? No, she's only 17 wasn't the Beatles. This was
Yes, it
like,
is. If you know what I mean. Well, she was just 17, if you know what I mean. And before too long, I'd fall in love with her. I'll never dance with another. Blah 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 blah. Blah. That's the Beatles.
no. This isn't a Beatles song though that I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
I know
tell
for a
me
fact
more,
there's-
tell me more. Like, did she put up a fight? That one.
Yeah, but that wasn't the one I'm thinking of. Like, it was like, how the fuck is it? It's like, she was only 17. Fuck, it's
I
fuck. What
usually
the
just
fuck?
use OBS.
It's
to
like
record it.
we listened to fucking Hair Nation, and they play it on Hair Nation on fucking.
Ramon.
I used to use
Antonio
that. I used to use that
Estes.
clip converter, but then it just balks up, man, bloats the system out. I don't know what it is, unless they
Does
change
it?
their software. You just
It's
like
definitely
bloat
different
shit.
than how it used to be, but I also download way less clips than I
Is
used to. So, but
yeah, I have used that before, but I don't use it anymore.
word.
Dude,
I
so
I
I was
usually just
wondering.
record it with OBS and then
So I
convert
was
it with
going back
CapCut.
through, and I was reading some old shit, and I found out that there's fucking been people selling and sending people these laptops fucking off of YouTube with fucking shit on them for they can fucking spy on people. I'm like, what the fuck is this bullshit?
Listen, if you're dumb enough to take a free laptop and then just start using it with no other precautions, then you know, I don't know, man.
Well, this goes to my question what I was asking the other day. If you get them fucking points and you get the shit from the government, do you really trust it not to have spyware and shit on it?
We know it
Like
all
that.
has spyware. Even the shit you have has spyware. They're listening to our conversation
Oh,
connection
yeah.
right now. I mean,
And then I think back of some of the unprotected sex I had, and it's
Right.
So
I'm streaming on
questionable.
YouTube. Like, I'm not just like at home chatting with friends. I'm broadcasting this to the world and recording it
Yeah,
on
but-
purpose. Then I'm
even
and we're worried about
when you're not,
spyware.
I mean, if you have a mobile phone on you, it's being tracked and shit.
Yeah, I have that on purpose.
Well, I just see that shit and I'm just like, what the fuck, man? How sick does somebody have to be to like truly do that shit?
To do what?
To
To
steal from
like
people?
well, to
Government
like
power.
spyware and fucking take pictures of people and shit and activate like that shit creeps me the fuck out, man.
Listen, just set it all on fire. Move into the woods with nothing but an axe, build a log cabin, you'll be fine. Just look out for the
Although,
satellites. Dude, Bin Laden
I
survived for
agree.
so long without being like spied on. It's crazy.
I mean, I technically live in a log cabin and I technically live in the woods. So,
Yeah, that technically is like the issue because I'm talking about technology specifically. So like I live technically in the woods. Isn't inspiring much hope for your privacy, as they call it, in a place that sucks.
Well, if it wasn't for the internet, I tell you what, there would be no fucking cell phone service there. Fucking, I live in a dead zone. It's
I
like,
wonder what the best way to do this is. Should I like stream for 12 freaking hours or like stop after 6 and start a new topic video? Just covered in the same video?
I mean, are you ever gonna go back and edit it?
I haven't
A
even
friend,
looked at these algorithms. I mean, I would like to, but I don't have a lot of time.
a friend of mine stops at 6 because Anything over 6, you can't edit online in YouTube.
Oh,
Oh, I
don't
thought it
use
was
that.
12.
12
What?
is recorded. 6
Oh, okay.
is editable.
That's not really a problem for me because I usually download it and then edit it myself. I don't edit it through YouTube.
Yeah, but
I
you
haven't,
lose
I haven't
your.
used their editing shit.
Let's say you do a live and you get it like 500 watch hours on it
Mhm.
and like 1,000 views. Well, if later YouTube says 5 minutes of it needs to be removed, otherwise they're going to block it, you either lose all that like data, all those statistics, or you could just edit it really quick.
Okay, that makes
See,
sense.
if you download it and then upload it, the upload's going to have 0 views and 0 watch hours.
Endorse.
Hmm.
Seems like a good thought. Good job, Dennis.
So
I
6
like to
hours?
keep mine like under 2 hours because like nobody's gonna watch more than that. The only people that are gonna watch more than that are people looking to make clips of you, and
Yeah, I was
you know.
debating stopping. Well, I was gonna just end stream. Trying to not. Telling myself that I was not gonna go on a panel.
Yeah, I haven't really used the editing software too much. I guess I'm looking at it more like a Twitch streamer than a YouTube streamer. Kind of. And that's where I was streaming first, was on Twitch. You guys ever streamed any on there? Or you streaming to both? Jack?
My brother does.
No, I haven't gone on Twitch.
I
I'll
was
just stick
streaming
to-
to Rumble too, but
Right.
Well, my brother talks mad shit about how he's like fucking great at playing video games and shit like that, and Call of Duty and all that. So I was like, well, I go, why don't you do fucking like some of these other people? Do the fucking Twitch streams and do challenges where fucking, you have challengers come up and fucking play you and shit. I go, you'll make money that way. Do some type of, I go, I'm sure you can figure out how to do some type of fucking stake or something's at stake. So. But he won't do it. I go, that's because you're not as good as you claim to be.
Yes. Bullying works. That's why we have no fat people.
Oh, he's quite chunky.
Bullying
where's
works.
the fucking video editor? I haven't never used it.
That's where you can tell the difference between how he was raised versus me. Because it was 9 years between us. So there was 9 years of pretty much me out of the house and him being there without me. So he was raised in them 10 years completely different. 9-10 years than I was. It's crazy. Like, he's a spoiled motherfucker. My brother is. Won't do anything unless fucking he makes $1. It's just stupid.
Call it economical, right?
Sounds like capitalism.
Well, I don't know. I was always raised to you do favors for fucking people because in the long term, them favors you do will come back to you. So, because you never know when you're gonna need one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so
Yeah, I guess
you
I
do
could
it
start
for
using
favors.
this, I
He
guess.
does it for dollars.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah. But my point is, like, growing up, there was an elderly couple. I'd go up, fucking mow the yard and shit for them. They'd give me like $5. My brother wouldn't do it unless fucking made like $30-40. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
I mean,
It's
Go,
inflation.
I go,
$5
Jesus,
is $30.
I go, Jesus Christ. I go, you didn't have to fucking, it ain't like it's your mower, your gas. They supply it all. It literally takes you 15 minutes to mow the fucking yard, and they're fucking old. Why would you, without a lot of money, why would you fucking charge them that much, you fucking moron?
because
Like,
fuck
you know
old
what I
people.
mean?
Okay, I was
But
robbed by
you
some old
charge them
people.
that much.
Huh?
You charge them that much yourself.
I didn't charge them that much. It ain't like it was
$5 is $30 now.
well, now, but this wasn't now. This was fucking
Then,
20 years ago, for Christ's sakes.
I mean, there's a 20-year gap.
How old is your brother?
So now he's charging $1.50.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's 9 years between us.
Yeah.
So he's
So it-
20.
A decade's worth of
27.
30%
He's
inflation.
27. My brother.
So at 7 years old, he was telling old people to fuck off. He's not going to do their lawn for less than 30. That's what you're telling me?
Well, I mean, he was a few years older than that, but
I
yeah,
think
pretty
there's a
much.
little. Yeah, I think. Yeah,
I
we
mean,
got.
he was like 10 when he fucking started doing it and shit. So yeah. Yeah, my brother's a fucking greedy fuck.
Maybe it's just a generational difference.
This is John Galt, the guy.
Oh, he is. He's greedy as fuck.
Who was that asking about John Galt? Was that you, Jack?
Yeah, the Ayn Rand meme.
Saying who the fuck is John Galt?
That was some dank Ayn Rand memes. Get it? Because no one knows who the fuck John Galt is in that Ayn Rand book about freedom or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I think he has the profile picture from the book. He uses it sometimes as his icon.
Wow. Suckers.
It might be his channel icon usually.
Leggy, do you stream?
It's in there.
Yeah, I used to on my old channel. This one here, I haven't really streamed much on.
Oh.
Because I switched from US Cellular to Spectrum Mobile, and that was the worst thing I could have done. Because once I get out so far out behind the islands here, I don't get no fucking service really. And the cell phone booster we got on the boat doesn't work for a Spectrum, so I really don't get no service, so it's kind of pointless to try to stream. I gotta start taking videos and then putting them together and putting them up.
What's he doing? Messing with scammers?
Who? No, on the boat. Talking about on the boat.
No, I mean on his John Galt video.
What's it called?
John Galt
John
fucks
Galt.
with scammers.
Oh yeah,
Haven't seen it.
it's live.
I
Oh,
like
it's live
watching.
right now.
Yeah,
I like watching people fuck with them scammers.
That'd be why I haven't seen it.
right. Seen it now though. It looks like he's talking about sending him like $200 or something. Says, "Hi, I don't have all
Just where
325 in the bank, so I can send 200 now, and the rest by the end of the day or something."
is this where is he scam them, wind up taking money from them in the long run? Because I've watched a couple of videos where supposedly these guys, that's what they do. They wind up scamming the scammers.
And then they're recording it and shit, and just streaming this shit live.
Yeah. Like I'm dead serious.
Yeah, I've seen that guy. He made like the maze of
That's the
scammers.
promotion of the stream is that he's taking money from the scammers.
Okay,
So
I'm leaving.
I didn't
Don't
know that
die.
about it. All right, peace out, Darko.
be
Thanks for
back.
stopping by, man.
I'll be back if you're still alive or
Yeah,
not.
alright.
But yeah, no problem, bud. See ya. See you, Jonathan. For real, done. Take care. Maybe go through the soy thing tomorrow, or maybe we'll redo seed oils.